But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
With the rockets or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to get okay.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
So you said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
Won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51, alien kept deep under the ground.
Doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. And hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's up, guys? It is Thursday night, which means it's one of the nights we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. You know what they are? Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. Like I said, this show's live, and we are streaming on Facebook, DLive, YouTube, and Periscope, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And as always, we're taking your phone calls to be part of the conversation tonight, to be part of the two ways that this goes. Like I said, as you guys know, if you've listened to this show for any length of time, this show is not about me preaching to you or trying to make you vote for that guy, or I don't really care, or trying to make you religious or not religious or somewhere in between. I don't care. You be you. That's the most important thing to me. And you make up your own mind about everything because, well, we're individuals after all. And just because you get a mob of people telling you to believe a certain thing doesn't necessarily mean it's true. And so, like I said, like I've always said, this is not the answer show. This is the question show. And so it's okay to hang out. Like I always say, we're non-denominational, religious or not religious or somewhere in between. It's all fine. It's all good. And, we try to be as apolitical as possible because politics are poison. And, this lefty-righty, the pooflinging contest, which really has everything to do with elites amassing more power and has almost nothing to do with them legislating on our behalf, which, well, last I checked, that was the premise of this entire country, talking about the United States, of course. And so, well, that's what we're here doing, to talk about all the things, like I said in the beginning there, that really don't get a lot of play, don't get enough people really considering them. And for that reason, I think it's a failure of the press. It's a failure of the media for sure, because they're always, political, pushing and pulling and making up these narratives. And then again, this Afghanistan thing is blown up, and, and that's just awful, like horrific tragedy going on over there right now. They're butchering people by the dozens, hundreds, or even thousands on a daily basis right now. And, they're doing what they do, right? So the righties are going, we told you Biden's a loser. And then the lefties are going, well, what are you going to do? You can't, getting out of Afghanistan at any point was going to be a mess no matter what, right? So I just don't know. I mean, clearly it's tragic, and tragedy is enough for me. It's not a thing that I think we should be politicizing. It's a thing, in my opinion, that we should be trying to figure out. Let's get our people safely out of there. Let's not leave people that have been interpreters and working with the U.S. military for the better part of 20 years to just get butchered in the streets. That's not okay to me. And like I said, tragic, horrific, and. But this show isn't about that. We're not going to talk about Afghanistan. That's just an example of where the news media is. If you turn on anything right now, they're politicizing it, right? They're making excuses, or they're on the attack. Again, lefty righty stuff. It's just silly. It's also silly when the fact of the matter is we should all be really concerned about what's happening over there, because it seems to be a failure of many things: a failure of government, a failure of the media, a failure of leadership, and of course a failure of the rest of the world for just sitting by and allowing these things to happen. It's tragic. And that's why we talk about these things. That's why we talk about other things than what's going on there, because sometimes when you're half a world away from that, which I am, which we are if you live in the West, it's, it seems like a distant nightmare. And it's been ongoing. It's an ongoing distant nightmare, just terrible. But if we think about other things, right? If we talk about other things, just in generalities, topic wise, we let our minds wander a little bit. It's okay. It's okay to speculate on some things. It's okay to be wrong. It's really okay to be wrong, and that's part of what this is all about. Part of the questions, and part of why we do the show in this format. It's okay. It's okay to speculate, and it's okay to be wrong. And we're coming into a, like I said, the post-truth world, or whatever it happens to be, is not really a happy place, not really a hospitable place for people that want to think for themselves, right? It's very much becoming just like 1984, right? With the people in the inner party wearing the dark overalls, and when they walk by, everybody shuts up because you don't want to say something that may implicate yourself, even if the thing you say is true. Even if the thing you say is right and just, it does not matter. If you go afoul of the party, guess what happens? They're already posturing to label you a terrorist and other things worse. And so it's like I said, it's a horrific thing, and we're really living in just a really grotesque takeover of. Well, whatever comes next. And I think what comes next is exactly, what all the conspiracy theorists have been saying all along. There's going to be a new world order. There's going to be a reckoning to come. And unfortunately, in my opinion, it's going to get worse before it gets better. Because, right, what are they doing? Trying to bankrupt the country? What are they trying to do? Trying to join up with, maybe Chinese interests, or at least, entertain them as, right? I mean, anyway, it's frustrating. The entire thing is frustrating. But anyway, so what we're going to talk about tonight instead of that stuff, like I said, it's if you let your mind wander in those directions, you end up in a dark place sometimes, because it's a dark world we live in, and there's lots of horrific things happening pretty much everywhere. And the point of me saying all that is that there are other things that we should pay attention to as well. Other things here, other things in our minds, other things of, kind of creating a good reality for ourselves and for our neighbors and for our families. And those things that are still possible, those things still exist. And that's why we do it the way we do it. And so if you want to be part of the show tonight, kind of my long-winded intro ramble here, we take your phone calls to be part of that, to maybe get together and talk about the ways we can improve things. Like I said, I'm not a journalist. I'm not a comedian. I'm literally just a concerned citizen with a microphone on the internet. That's really what this is all about. And so if you want to be part of the show tonight, it's really simple. Just give us a call. Phone number you can reach us at is 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And you can reach us on Discord as well by going to troubledminds.org. That's the official website. And then just click on the Discord link. And we'll give you a direct invite to the Discord. Lots of smart people in there having a really great conversation pretty much 24 hours a day. So yeah, join that if you have not. Also, Discord is a chat client. It's a voice client. It's totally free. Absolutely free. You don't have to pay anything for it. And it's pretty much the future of online communications, in my opinion. It's a very, very good program. And if you like to type to people, it's there. It's like a chat room. If you like to talk with people, it's there. You can jump in like a voice channel and talk to people, which has been pretty hopping over in Troubled Minds on the Discord there because, well, lots of folks jump in there after the show and keep the conversation going. It kind of turns into the after party, as it were. So anyway, do join the Discord. We also have a Discord at fringe.fm/chat. Please join that. Lots of smart people there as well. The communities are kind of merged a little bit, but like I said, it's hard to go wrong when you got good people looking out for each other, talking about smart things and sharing good information. So there it is. Also, if you want to help out the Fringe FM, download the app. Go to the App Store, available on Apple or, of course, wherever you find your apps for your telephone or your tablet, and just download the Fringe.fm app. And it's a direct radio from the Fringe. So there we go. All right. So as we do all that, the phone number's there. You guys know what to do. And let's do it. Let's go. Let's start. So I was looking through, as usual, and actually speaking of Discord, we have an individual by the name of Noble Kal-El. What's up, my friend? He's actually been boosting our Discord server. Thank you for doing that. And he actually shared an article a few days ago. So this is actually a submission from one of our listeners out there, one of our supporters, longtime friend of the show. He lives in Texas, really great guy. He sent this, and I saw this, and it creeped me out. It gave me the creeps. So I'm going to put this on full screen so you can see what we're talking about here if you're watching on the streams. And, well, yeah, this is the headline. Scientists grew stem cell mini brains. Then the brains sort of developed eyes. And if you look at the photograph, well, there's some weirdness to this. If we're calling these mini brains, they look like little white blobs, all right? Little white blobs. And these eyes, they say actually developed on these things. They look like weird little raisins, right? Like sticking on these brains of some sort. So anyway, this is creepy. This is extremely creepy. And we're going to get to some more of this. It's not going to be just this tonight. But if you want to talk about this in particular, this is a creepy way to start. This is a little bit disturbing, let's say. But let's read just a little bit of this so you know where we're coming from. And let's get going. So mini brains grown in a lab from stem cells have spontaneously developed rudimentary eye structures, scientists report in a fascinating new paper. On tiny human-derived brain organoids grown in dishes, two bilaterally symmetrical optic cups were seen to grow, mirroring the development of eye structures in human embryos. This incredible result will help us to better understand the process of eye differentiation and development, as well as eye diseases. Quote, this is from a neuroscientist, Jay Gopalroshan, I can't say the name, of University Hospital Dusseldorf in Germany. We're just going to call him Jay. The neuroscientist Jay says, quote, our work highlights the remarkable ability of brain organoids to generate primitive sensory organs that are light sensitive and harbor cell types similar to those found in the body. Creepy, right? These organoids can help to study eye-brain interactions, brain-eye interactions during embryo development, model congenital retinal disorders, and generate patient-specific retinal cell types for personalized drug testing and transplantation therapies. Yeah, well, there you go. If you're looking at it, this is exactly what we're talking about. This white blob that you see is a stem cell mini brain that's been created that spontaneously developed its own eyes. Not only how do they know their eyes, of course, well, because they're light sensitive. They seem to react to light. So yes, this is creepy. I don't know. Like I said, as this begins, the conversation begins tonight. There's more to this. We're going to get to a bunch of these things, but this is stem cells. So these are human cells, of course. But what do they? Yeah, I don't know. Like this is just creepy to me. Well, what happens when it just pops open some ears and grows a little mouth and starts talking to you, right? I mean, that's a little far fetched, but how far fetched? Well, I don't know. Mick in the chat says little brain needs a hat. Right? I think so. I think Mick is right. What's up, Mick? And yeah, it's weird. This is creepy, like creepy. I've used the word creepy 3 times, but I'm not sure there's a more apt word than creepy for this, because it is. I mean, so right. We talk about on this show. We talk about all manner of things, including consciousness, things like this. And so if you're dealing with consciousness, and we're talking stem cells, so these are actually human cells, and it's developing eyes, spontaneously growing its own eyes, these little mini brains made out of stem cells. Is this thing slowly becoming conscious? Does it have consciousness built in? Is it aware of what's going on? Does it know it's like a hybrid lab-grown entity, right? Creepy. This is just yeah. So I don't know. It kind of begs some bigger questions to be asked here about this. But what actually happened with this? And they don't know. They're it's because it is stem cells, right? As many of you know, stem cells, they say, can be kind of like the generic precursor to any cell in the body. And what happens is, if they now, of course, it's not as simple as this. This is like what the media version of stem cells are. Is that you take the stem cells and then you put them in a particular area, and they'll notice the area they're in, and they'll grow, to fill in the gap, right? So if you have like a spinal cord injury or something, you can replace some of the information, that's maybe been severed in like a spinal injury, something like that. And these stem cells will be able to kind of grow back the connections and possibly give back feeling in like the spinal cord, right? Things like this. So, and again, right, that's the media version of what stem cells are and how they're used, right? And some say the big debate over this is embryonic stem cells, right? Are these coming from, right, aborted fetuses in some cases, right? Which of course is the big to do, because, well, if we're harvesting unborn babies to do these things, that's horrific. And then again, some lots of ethics things happen in here. But there's another way. You can't just this is just a general basis of knowledge I have regarding stem cells, and I could be wrong. The science changes. I'm not a scientist, as you guys know. Like I said, I'm barely even a talk show host, barely, right? Because, well, this goes 2 ways. We are talk show hosts together. But okay, so if you have comments on this or anything during the show, as you know, what we're going to do is we're going to take your phone calls. So if you have any comments on this thus far, have you heard of this? Scientists grow stem cell mini brains, and then they sort of develop their own eyes, their own eyeballs, and these eyes are actually responding to light. So if you flash a flashlight in them or something, they'll move, they'll blink, like they're detecting the things that optical nerves should detect. So, like I said, if this isn't weird, what is this? Like, what are these things? Clearly, they're not human, but they're trying very hard to be human. So, yeah. So anyway, the other way to get stem cells. Oh, sorry. If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. Does this creep you out? You think this is what science should be doing and what they're looking at and all the rest of this? Or, am I just, I have a weak, Michael Strange, you have a weak stomach. Yeah, that's fine. If you think that's the case, that's all fine and well. But I stand by what I said initially. This is creepy. So, okay. There we go. So, all right. So now the other way. So not just embryonic stem cells. You can also, I'm told, you can actually get stem cells from your own body. You can scrape them from, but they're not as durable. They're not as efficient. All this other stuff, which is why the embryonic stem cell stuff is so maybe used in particular, and then 2, why it's so controversial, because again, like I said, if we're harvesting unborn babies to do these things, that's just really, really, really gross. Okay, so All right, so let's keep on trucking with this. Now I'm not sure exactly what's going on here. So here we go. So here's what these things are. Brain organoids are not true brains, all right, as you might be thinking of them. They are small three-dimensional structures grown from induced pluripotent stem cells harvested from adult humans. There you go. So these aren't embryonic stem cells. They're actually harvested from adult humans and reverse engineered into stem cells that have the potential to grow into many different types of tissue. So this is the other way to do it, right? So this is not the embryonic version of stem cells. Also notably too, there's these things called, I can't remember what they're called, but stem cells are also known to be wildly unpredictable. And so the reason why I say that the media version of stem cells and the rest of this is, it's like the miracle of the future. You put the stem cells in, and the arm bone's connected to the shoulder bone, and then you can fix things that are broken, right? That type of stuff. That's the media version of stem cells. There's a horrific version of stem cells, and I can't remember the name of the thing, but there are cases where they put stem cells in, they grow them in labs, or they put them in human bodies. And the little stem cells, sure, they fill in the gap of what needs to be filled. However, they end up with growing little pieces of their own hair and teeth. Yes. So let's say the arm bone connects to the shoulder bone, and you got like a horrific shoulder injury, and you put some stem cells on there. It may do some healing and bridge the gaps of whatever nerve stuff was damaged and that type of thing. However, that spot also might grow its own hair and teeth. You see, like I said, wildly unpredictable. It's sort of a really one of those areas of science that's gets a lot of credit for medically this is going to be the future, but then there's still a lot of problems that they're encountering that they can't really quantify for. So creepy stuff, and that's about the extent of what I know of stem cells. But I do know that like I said, the media likes to prop it up as the next generation of medical breakthroughs, when still is probably not the case. This may be far off. This may not even be the way we're going to go medically in the future, with Neuralink and all this other stuff coming up too. But anyway, so brain organoids are not true brains. Here we go. So in this case, these stem cells are coaxed to grow into blobs of brain tissue without anything resembling thoughts, emotions, or consciousness. How do you know? Did you ask it? It doesn't have a mouth and it can't answer you, but its eyes are actually responding to light. So, weird. Anyway, such mini brains are used for research purposes where using actual living brains would be impossible, or at the very least, ethically tricky. Testing drug responses, for example, or observing brain cell development under certain adverse conditions. This time, the neuroscientist here and his colleagues were seeking to observe eye development. And yep, you got it. They got it. They got it. In previous research, other scientists had used embryonic stem cells to grow optic cups, the structures that develop into almost the entire globe of the eye during embryonic development. And other research had developed optic cup-like structures from induced pluripotent stem cells. Rather than grow these structures directly, Jay and his team wanted to see if they could be grown as an integrated part of brain organoids. This would add the benefit of seeing how the two types of tissue can grow together rather than just growing optic structures in isolation. Quote, eye development is a complex process, and understanding it could allow underpinning the molecular basis of early retinal diseases, the researchers wrote in their paper, which is fine, right? Like I said, you don't just magically get better through science. You have to do the work. You have to do things like this. But like I said, I still don't retract that I said it was creepy, because I'll tell you what, it is creepy. So this article in particular got me thinking, right? So we have these little mini brains being developed with stem cells, and they spontaneously grew their own eyes. Not only that, these eyes are actually responding to light, as I said there. And, it got me thinking, right? What about human eyes? Is there some other weirdness to human eyes? And is this, other than some disturbing questions here, are these things conscious, right? As they say, well, they're not. Well, how do you know? Like I said, did you ask them? But, other than disturbing questions like that, I got to thinking about, what about eyes? And right, it's been long said that eyes harbor all kinds of different weird stuff. You know how you're being watched and you know you're being watched even though you don't really get it? Well, that's what's on my mind tonight. We're going to talk about more of this. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. 702-957-1037. Don't go anywhere. More after the break. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Facebook, DLive, YouTube, and Periscope. And we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. We're taking your phone calls tonight, as we are every night. If you want to be part of the show, give us a call at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037, and we'll put you on the show. And tonight, we're talking about, yeah, that's right, stem cells. Mini brains grown from stem cells grew their own eyes. And these eyes react to light. These eyes, well, as they say, are these eyes the window into the soul? Well, what happens if these little brain organoids don't have a soul? Well, like I said, maybe they do, because how are we supposed to know? We can't ask them. You tell me. I don't know. That's what's on my mind tonight. It's a little bit of weirdness, and yeah. I don't know. Definitely weird stuff here. So there you go. What's up? Robert says you can stream simultaneously live on YouTube and Rockfin, and you are correct. So pretty soon it will probably be. What's up, guys? We are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Periscope. Notice who I left out from that group. So like I said, two can play that game. Facebook, if you want to do that. But okay, here we go. We're talking about this weirdness tonight. This again, so it kind of got me thinking about, are the eyes the windows to the soul, as has been suggested, right? The famous quote. And not only that, is there more to human eyes than it seems to be, more than they let on, right? There's lots of things. They say you can curse people with eyes, like talking about like the evil eye, things like this. It kind of got me thinking about not just the evil eye. What about if there's an evil eye? Is there like the benevolent eye or something to this effect? Instead of cursing somebody with the eyeballs, could you maybe bring them good luck or prosperity? And then also we have that weird latent power, human power, where even if we're not, where we're, let's say we're facing the direction straight ahead, but we're being watched from behind us, we seem to notice. You see? So it can't be eyes in the back of our head noticing this. Clearly, there's some sort of sensory input that's happening because somebody's looking at you with their beady little eyes. And I say that because I have beady little eyes. I'm not really calling you that. But anyway, that's what's on my mind tonight. There's a lot of weirdness with this, and not just the stem cell stuff and the growing eyes on these little brain organoids. There's more to this. And so we're going to talk about that as we go, but we're taking your phone calls, as I said. So here we go. We're going to do this. We have, let's see, what do we have? Looks like this is Justin in Texas. Welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
Well, I'm doing good. It's supposed to be my name. It's supposed to be anonymous, but we're good.
Okay. All right. My bad.
You still there?
I'm still here. Sorry about that.
So it's good, man. It's all good.
Anonymous in Texas.
Once they heard my voice, they'd know who I was.
Okay. All right.
So I'll touch on all three of them really, really quick, and then we'll circle back, as somebody would say.
Sure. Go right ahead.
So stem cells. Stem cells are the building blocks from a boarded fetal tissue that touches into mRNA, rewriting DNA. I'll leave that there. Our eyes, windows to the soul. If you actually look at the eye, it's a vortex that looks similar to the magnetic north-south pole. And it creates a vortex cone that also leads into your conspiracy stuff of free energy and flying saucers.
Okay.
Let's circle back. What do you think on all three of them?
All right. Regarding the stem cells themselves, it is aborted fetal tissue. That was the like I was describing there. That's the old way of doing it. There's a new way where they can actually, maybe scrape your skin from adults and then reverse engineer them to be stem cells, and that's how they did this. So it's not just like I said that what the press says about stem cells is not entirely true, because it is right. It's like it kind of gets into the abortion debate and some of these other things, like these really horrific things, but. The reason why it's kind of a hot button is because of that in particular. But they're finding new ways to be able to reverse engineer these stem cells from like skin tissue. So they could scrape right off my arm, take it to the lab, reverse engineer them into stem cells with my DNA, and etc. So it's changing. It's changing. But I do think that it's not the same thing. It's not again. The fetal stem cell stuff is a different thing entirely. They're more powerful because, of course, they're just like kids grow like a weed. It's the same sort of idea, right? These things are just super powerful versions of stem cells. But okay, so
it's two different sides that's tied into one. So you have stem cells, and then you have the rewriting of DNA. Like you explained, back when we went to school, how we would crossbreed plants to get certain plants. So we transplant a rose with a blueberry bush tree that was barely growing, and say the blueberry bush, and put it on a rose tree that's fully bloomed, and now we got roses and blueberries. That's the crossing of DNA.
Exactly.
And that kind of puts it back to a bunch of people that are totally against the whole DNA thing, and and I kind of agree with them, like the way science is and stuff like that. But can we circle back to something completely off subject?
Sure, go right ahead.
What's your thoughts about what's going on right now with every portion of Europe hating somebody they welcomed for winning? Completely unrelated. You have England, you have Germany, you have France, you have Spain, and actually the entire G7 right now is having a meeting minus the U.S. about what's going on. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, my thoughts on that are that just geopolitics are just a giant crap show, and unfortunately, they're using, again, like we have all this refugee crisis coming out of Afghanistan now. But whose fault is that? I mean, like this is part of the issue with all of those things. It's like they like to point to particular things and say, "Oh, but look, now this is a problem." Well, okay, but the reason it's a problem is because you jerks made it a problem, right? It's not like it wasn't a problem before that. They were different problems. It's like they're always creating crap. Sorry about that. We just had the phone line drop, so I'm going to keep talking here while we dial back in. Sorry about that, my friend. Hold on one moment, and I'll dial back in and get you on. Don't go anywhere. So you probably can't hear me, but okay. So as we wait here, we got Anonymous from Texas, and we're going to get him back on the line because the phone line dropped perfectly right when I was having a conversation with him. But all right, so we're going to keep on doing that and doing our thing in just a moment. But we are taking your phone calls if you want to be part of the show tonight. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Sorry about that, my friend. The phone line dropped off right in the middle of the conversation. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. So what I was just saying is that like a lot of this stuff, it seems not just manufactured. It seems like they're creating these problems. I don't know if it's directly intentionally. It sure as hell doesn't seem like they're not trying to create or trying to stop these problems. That's what I'm saying. So I'm with you in that it's backwards.
Solution?
What's that?
Problem solution. Let me create this problem and give you the solution that I pre-planned for it.
Problem, reaction, solution. Yes, sir. The dialectic, they call it. Yes. The Hegelian dialectic is what that's called. So I'm with you, man. It's weird. It's unfortunate that that's the way the world is, and like I said, geopolitics is just kind of a joke at this point. But okay, so what about this now? Let me ask you a question. So we're talking about these little organoids, and they're growing these eyeballs, spontaneously growing eyeballs. Do you think, like I was describing as we started, that there's like a latent power in the human eye? Meaning, they said that you could curse people with sort of like the evil eye, or how if you're being watched, even though it's not within the senses of your own eye and vision, if you're being watched behind you, you sense it somehow. So it's almost like the power of people's eyes can actually kind of tickle you, right? That sort of thing. Do you think there's something more to that than what's going on?
I agree with that. And I forget I can't remember off the top of my head, but the Indian people, Hindus, the third eye. The third eye, you can see what's behind you, in front of you. You can sense danger before it's there. Sort of like the spider tingle.
Right, exactly.
Or the
spider sense. Yeah, right. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So you think there is? You think there is something to it? It's like we're able to detect that. So if we're able to detect it, does that mean something specific is actually coming out of the eyes, like maybe laser beams as such that don't do damage clearly, but they're kind of like the power of the gaze? Do you think there's something to that?
Well, yeah, the power of the gaze works. I mean, we were all kids and teenagers once before, and you look at somebody and they look at you and you're like, hey, and they're like, hey, with not saying a word, and then something happens after that, like. The power of vision is a real thing, but as far as laser beams and Superman, that's comic book stuff. As far as we know, I mean, it may be real, but as far as we know, that's comic book stuff.
Right, exactly. So what Matt says in the chat is the caller's got it right that it's more like the third eye, like we're able to detect these things based on. Yeah. Okay. All right. So what else? What else do you have on this stuff?
Well, I truly believe that our sight, our vision, our mind is all being dumbed down by technology. And the reason I say that, when I was roughly 12 to 15 years old, I could do a 50-step mathematical problem within a minute and a half. Kids nowadays couldn't do, a 23 by 275 long division without a calculator. They are purposely dumbing us down and making us rely on technology instead of unlocking the human brain. The human brain, Einstein was only estimated to use maybe 15%, along with Tesla, the original Tesla, not the Tesla vehicles, and a bunch of other main mind geniuses. We're only supposed to use, at best, 20% of our mind. You ever seen the movie Lucy? What would happen if we could unlock 80% of our mind?
That's a good question. I've never seen that movie, but what happened? Were they able to fly and stuff?
So no, Lucy was given basically medication, stuff like this, and it unlocked her mind. It's the same female that plays Black Widow. I forget her name. I can't think of her.
Scarlett Johansson.
Her name, but yes, she plays in a movie called Lucy, and she unlocks her mind, and she starts to get the ability of telekinesis and the ability to read minds and stuff like that. And essentially, she becomes a mutant.
Actually,
but I mean,
now that you say that, I've seen that. I've seen that movie.
20% of her mind. Go ahead.
I've seen that movie. Sorry, go right ahead. You jogged my memory.
Like, if the most important geniuses in our world only unlock 15 to 20% of the mind, what if we unlock half of our mind?
Exactly.
Is it planned that they're dumbing us down and making us rely on technology? Like, how many people nowadays, these millennials, could drive 100 miles away without getting lost without their Alexa and their Google?
Now, easy. So this is the thing too. I want to be clear about this. I don't think it's like a generational thing. Like I don't think it's the fault of the generation itself. I think it's the fault of the technology. And I also don't believe that there's a sweeping statement we can make about millennials. There's some pretty brilliant millennials as well. I just want to make sure that. Just want to be clear about that.
I'll agree with that. It's more of it's easier to rely on a crutch than it is to get out on your own.
Right. Well, exactly. But so it's the technology that's typically not just dumbing down one generation, all generations at this point. It's unfortunate, but yeah, that's where we're at. I'm with you 100%, man. We got to keep on trucking here. So can I get a final thought or two even before you take off here?
Final thoughts. I truly am afraid to see what's going to happen in the next 6 to 8 months, not only in the U.S., but the entire world, with all the droughts and the crop devastation, mass inflation, and everything else. But that's just my thoughts.
Amen to that, brother. And that's why we do this, right? Kind of to talk about these things and keep them on the top of our mind, because there's important things happening in this world. And smart folks like you are going to hopefully be the answer to some of these. We're going to get together and keep talking and thinking, and hopefully we'll have a solution here. At least be able to inspire the people that will maybe make those solutions. So thank you for the call, my friend. Anonymous from somewhere out there. I appreciate it, my man.
All right, thank you.
Thanks a lot. Have a great night. Appreciate you listening. Thanks for calling. There you go. Simple as that. If you guys want to be part of the show, as you know, we're not. A lot of radio shows are like, no, we did a bunch of work here, and we got a narrative to get through. Yeah, I mean, if we don't get to it today, we'll get to it tomorrow or whatever. So it's not really that big a deal. If you guys want to derail a little bit, you're welcome to. Just don't intentionally hard derail just for the sake of it. But like I said, we've got time for you, and like I said, the conversation goes two ways. If you have other things on your mind tonight, we can kind of kick those back and forth as well, as you saw right there. So back to the phone number if you want to be part of the show. It's 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Join the Discord at troubledminds.org, and we'll put you on the show. Just hop in the caller queue, and there we go. As simple as that. What's up? I see you guys in the Fringe chat there, the Fringe Discord. If you guys haven't joined the Fringe Discord, do that as well. Fringe.fm/chat. All right, so let's keep on trucking here. So now, as I was describing, there's a little weirdness with this. So not just this stem cell, brain organoids, as they're called. They've spontaneously developed their own eyes in the laboratory. Again, I'll put up the photographs so you guys can be creeped out one more time. That's what they look like. Those are actual little eyeballs if you're watching on the streams. And, like I said, they say it's not conscious. It doesn't have the nervous system or all the rest of this stuff, but it does have eyes that have spontaneously grown, and they do react to light. So, you tell me. So, point being is this, right? So it got me thinking about the human eyes and what an amazing thing they are. And so specifically, let's look at this. This is also another one. This is from the bbcfuture.com, bbc.com/future. And this is from not that long ago. This is actually from 2017. And this is what got me thinking. The little organoid brains that grew their own eyes, and then this. What causes that feeling of being watched? And apparently it's a thing. It's a scientific thing. It's not just like not one of those things where we trick ourselves into or any of the rest of this. It's actually a real thing. So there's a few other articles here. I'm going to drop these links. Actually, the links are already down below. If you're on Facebook or YouTube, the links are already there. So you can see what's going on. So here we go. Now, here it is. I'm going to read straight from this article. This is from actually warwickonline.com. This is pretty good. At some point, I imagine, we have all had the feeling of being watched, of someone out there following our every movement, although they aren't visible. I felt it walking in the woods and out in the water. In both cases, it's likely that I'm being watched by critters whose space I've invaded. It's silent, and yet I feel there's something alive out there. Then there's been a rustle in the underbrush, the flash of a tawny coat, and then the elegant form of a deer nimbly running between trees. Or more frequently, I'm greeted by the scolding of a squirrel, annoyed by my presence. This is written by an individual by the name of, who is this? John Howell. Pretty good stuff here. And this is describing exactly that feeling we get that we're being watched. And like I said, if that's the case, and he's describing animals here, so I'm saying the human eyeball. So what about eyeballs in general? If you're being watched by a squirrel or something, or a deer like he's actually describing, and you still feel it, right? You feel those eyeballs, as they say. Even though you don't know where they're at, you know you're being watched. It's weird, is it not? Is that the third eye? You're collecting data that's metadata from the sky, metadata from the environment, and yeah, right? Because clearly, if we knew where we were being watched, we just turn and look at who was watching us. However, well, it doesn't quite work that way, does it? So here we go. So he continues. These days, the watching eyes are omnipresent. They pan stores looking to snag shoplifters. And, of course, he's taking this to this surveillance state, right? Which, of course, we can do that as well if you want to do that. The all-seeing eye, right? The all-seeing eye is not just the symbology. It's also what's really happening with all the cameras and facial recognition and all the rest of this. It's becoming like a big brother with the all-seeing eye. So, again, there's another angle we can talk about tonight. And just like I said, as you know, these conversations are sort of kind of flimsy, open-ended, and really, non-specific sometimes. We can kind of talk about like a general topic like the eyes and watching and how it's bizarre that you can feel somebody watching you, which doesn't seem to make any sense at all, does it? Like, how do we explain that in particular? And that's what's on my mind tonight. And not only that, like I said, is it able to cast, are we able to cast spells with eyes, things like this, like they've said, the evil eye? And looking for what you guys think about these things. Is this possible? Great call to kick us off. I appreciate that. Thanks for calling in tonight, Anonymous. And if you want to be part of this, you know what to do. 702-957-1037. But yeah, so that's what's going on tonight. And it is Thursday, kind of a long week as always. We always talking about some crazy stuff. We had some poppin' shows this week. But this is one where we kind of get together and just talk about this weirdness. What's up, Isaac? I see there on Facebook says our sixth sense, and that's exactly right. Except though, right? If it's talking about eyeballs in particular. What's up, Bruce? Bruce says Einstein said technology would be the downfall of mankind, and there it is. There it is. Yeah, maybe. So here we go. I don't know. And that's what's on my mind. Is there like a latent power to the eyeballs, not just the human eyes, as we saw here, maybe animals? And how are we able to sense we're being watched, even though clearly we shouldn't be able to? Because, watching is it's a purely the light comes in the eyeball, right? The whole thing, and you're imaging what's in front of you. It doesn't seem that we should be able to alert somebody that they're being watched just simply by watching them, and yet, it is a thing. It is a thing that actually happens out there. So I don't know. That's what we're talking about tonight and considering. And why do you think that is? Like we've described here, is there a third eye? Is there a sixth sense that allows this to happen, or is it some maybe actual let's call it a spiritual magnification of the window to the soul, right? As they say, the eyes are the windows to the soul. And maybe that's why, maybe our soul is reaching out through our eyeballs of such, and that's what's doing the tugging, right? And letting people know they're being watched. Who knows? Again, like I said, it's only me, and if I'm only speculating with myself, well, things get dull really fast. But if you call, like that first call we had, and kind of take things a little bit here, there, or everywhere, then the conversations can get spicy. So there it is. And let's see, what do we got? Where are we at time-wise? I think we're okay. Yeah, totally good. All right, so that's what's on my mind tonight. We're talking about these little organoids that were created by stem cells, and they're creepy. All right, they're creepy. They've spontaneously grown their own eyes, and they react to light. So, like I said, it got me thinking about the human eye, and how come there's all these weird anomalous things, and is there some sort of, maybe we're able to reach out with our soul through our eyeballs, as they say, meaning that, the eyes are the window to the soul. I don't know. You tell me. I have no idea. If I had answers, I'd just read you the answers and the show would be over. But I don't. I have questions. And if you want to be part of the show tonight and you have a theory about any of this, I'd love for you to call. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More after the break.
just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. This show is live. We do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific, and we talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. You know what those things are? Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. We are streaming on Facebook, DLive, YouTube, and Periscope. We are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM, and we're taking your phone calls. If you want to be part of the show, the number to call is 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037, and we'll put you on the show. We also have a Discord rolling. You can go to troubledminds.org and click the Discord link. You get a direct invite. Discord is a chat client. It's a voice client. It's totally free if you have an internet connection to use, and it's amazing. So if you haven't joined the Discord, please do. Also join the Discord at fringe.fm/chat. Lots of good folks in both places. Like I said, it's one program, 2 different chat rooms, and I'm trying to watch them all. I'm trying to watch all the different chat rooms. So as we go tonight, we're reading all the chat and trying to make it a social stream and do all the things, right? That's what we do on this show. And yeah, that's what's going on. So let's keep on trucking here. There's more. So as we started tonight, as you'll see, we got James on the phone and we got Rohan on Discord here. We're going to go to these guys in just a sec. But as we started tonight, just a quick recap. We started with this. This was this is from ScienceAlert.com. This is just from a couple days ago. And scientists grew stem cell mini brains. Then the brains sort of developed eyes. Okay, so just real quick. So mini brains grown in a lab from stem cells have spontaneously developed rudimentary eye structures, scientists report in a fascinating new paper on tiny human-derived brain organoids grown in dishes. 2 bilaterally symmetrical optic cups were seen to grow, mirroring the development of eye structures in human embryos. This incredible result will help us to better understand the process of eye differentiation and development, as well as eye diseases. All right, so that's what's on my mind tonight. There's a photograph. If you're watching the actual stream itself, they look like little dough blobs with like little raisins for eyes or something, and it's kind of gross because it's stem cells and it's just a little gross, right? I mean, yeah. So it got me thinking, right, about this the olfactory senses and eyes themselves, and the terms that are actually like as they said, right, the all-seeing eye, right, the third eye, about the maybe the evil eye, things like this, right, about knowing you're being watched when you really have no business knowing, like what kind of power actually resides in the eyes. And I think it's a fascinating conversation, and looking to hear from you. So let's go to James. James in Michigan. Welcome to Troubled Minds. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. Really interesting topic, personally as well as just in general.
Okay, which would be why? I know why, but you can tell everybody. Why?
Yeah, well, because I'm legally blind, and the cause for that was actually an underdeveloped or a damaged optic nerve bundle, basically, when I was born. So the fact that this happened in this experiment, I mean, I know that they're not the same exact thing as a regular brain, supposedly, or however that goes. And I don't know the science that well, but it's still just interesting that happened. But it just made me wonder about the implications for ways to repair eyes in the future, and optic nerves and all that kind of stuff.
Exactly. I think that like that type of stuff. Again, like I said, we can't discount the medical victories that may come from this. This may be a way eventually to maybe repair exactly what's wrong with people's eyeballs out there that are having, maybe have had issues from birth, or maybe had like accidents where they maybe lost their vision or partially lost their vision. This could be the answers, right? This could be, but looking at these little dough balls with like raisin-looking eyes, man, you got to tell me that's creepy as hell anyway. In spite of all that weird stuff, right? In spite of the possible like positives from medical science here.
Yeah, but I would argue that any kind of look inside of a human body is not exactly necessarily all that good looking. If you're just talking about organs and all that stuff, I don't know. I've never cared for views of those kind of things. But yeah. But I also I know you touched on it earlier. I wouldn't want that to happen. Like, I do think ethics are important. You know what I mean? Like, you were mentioning the different kinds of stem cells and all that, and I'm definitely more okay with them being taken from adults, where it's not hurting them, versus anything else, like versus babies that are not developed yet. And again, I don't know a lot about that, but it just doesn't seem so good.
Yeah, it seems less than ethical. Let's call. We can probably agree on that. Yeah. So okay. Then all right. So let me ask you then. So you're legally blind. Do you get that same sensation where if somebody is watching you, can you feel it?
Sometimes, yes, I can. I think it has to be someone watching really closely. Or really focusing. I don't know if it can just be like someone glancing at someone else to where they notice. But I think if someone is really looking at you, closely, I think I can tell.
Okay, so it is. So it is
weird because.
Go ahead.
Yeah, well, it's just weird because my limited vision, like, there's no way I could actually tell if someone was watching me from across the room, by looking at them. For one thing, I might not even see them. And even if I did, I might not be able to physically tell that they were looking at me, from across the room. So, but it's definitely a feeling you can get. And I do think it is real.
Okay, yeah, and I think we've all experienced it. That's the crazy part here. So there is some sort of sixth sense that's built into a receptor in our brain somehow, where we feel the presence of a gaze. An actual somebody staring at us is some sort of power of sorts, right? Otherwise, how would we be able to detect it? Like it's almost like there's like an invisible energy happening with just a gaze. And it could, like you said, it may not be as simple as just a quick glance, but definitely if you're being watched, like maybe hunted, there's an energy focus that maybe goes into that maybe that's what we're sensing here. Crazy stuff, man. So what do you think's going on with that? Is there a third eye?
I think so, and I think some people have it more developed than others. I also would say that your ability to sense, like you just said, it's not always your physical eyes that are sensing these things. It's your third eye, or I think also you have to consider your other senses, possibly playing into that, and you're kind of relying on like all your senses, maybe without even realizing it. When you're in a situation like you said where you're being hunted or whatever, I think there could be more than just your eyes. I mean, I think it could be your ears and your eyes, and all that kind of stuff too.
Yeah, like there's an actual sixth sense.
A third set. I think there's a third eye and a sixth sense. I just think that some people have it more developed than others. I think it can. I think you can develop it. I think if you train, there's different ways of training. I don't know what those are, but I've heard people say that there are ways to do that. So I don't know if that's like a level playing field, but I do think that it does happen.
Exactly. Yeah. I agree. There's something to this. And so, like I said before, it's been said that the eyes are the window to the soul. Do you think there's any correlation to that? Maybe that's where this power comes from, and the power of a gaze to maybe again be able to, like, basically it's like the Force, right? I mean, you're kind of reaching out with your whatever it is, your being in watching, and you're giving somebody like a metaphysical tickle, for lack of a better term there, because you're getting their attention without touching them, even though, right, like there's no other way, like no other quantifiable way to really explain this. Strange stuff, huh? You think maybe it's connected to that the windows and the windows to the soul, something like that?
I think there can be that, but again, I also would say it's a combination of that and other things like body, like body, I don't know what you call it, body language, that's what it was. Like how they talk, how, all these other things. I think, that all plays into it too, but I think there's something to that, but there's also, like I just said, there's other factors that kind of help, you get more of an idea of what a person is like, as you go along. So, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So then, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, the connection between eyes and vision and all of that, I think is interesting, and I think it's similar to. Some people have said that they think the reason I have had experiences like with paranormal things is because of my lack of vision, my lack of physical vision. I think that's like my spiritual sense is kind of compensating for the lack of the physical sense.
Right. Okay. Very much like we said before.
That's possible. I don't know.
Yeah. So it is something. So if that's the case, it's something that could be trained as well, right? Maybe you could be more intuitive to maybe pick up gazes from people. Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting, man. Lily here in the chat says, I was followed once in the city. I felt it bad on my back, the back of my head, the back of my neck. I ended up running as my mom was in the pub, and I smacked on the glass to get her attention. And like I said, I think everybody's kind of had an experience similar to that where, you just knew something bad was going to go down. You were actually being hunted by somebody or something, right? And it's really difficult to really quantify as like a, other than a sixth sense. It's pretty crazy stuff, man. Pretty crazy stuff. How about the other madness here that I was kind of considering? Do you think it's possible to maybe use the evil eye or and curse people with a gaze? Do you think that's a possible thing?
I don't know. I've never looked really. No pun intended. I've never really looked too deeply into that.
Okay.
I don't know. I think it's possible. I mean, I think anything is possible. I don't know. I think that if it was easy to do, it'd be happening more. I think there'd be a lot more of that going on than there maybe is. But I never like to discount anything really, because I don't know. So.
Gotcha, but possibly. I mean, it's definitely something that goes back hundreds of years at least, and probably thousands of years, where you can curse people with your eyes. So that's what's on my mind tonight. Lots of good stuff here. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and I was just thinking. I mean, if you stare at someone enough, like in any kind of situation where you're being hunted or whatever, that could cause you to make mistakes to where it seems like you're cursed. Or, it throws you off enough where you're not maybe being as smart about what you do, or, so I think there could be that could be a kind of that too.
Sure. That makes sense. To me. Kind of like the, like if you're, like they say, pointing the bone. You've heard me use this term, where maybe so it's so far like the curse or whatever it happens to be is maybe audible, but it becomes a thing. It consumes you. You're so frightened of what may happen. It's sort of like a self-fulfilling prophecy that the curse doesn't do anything. You become your own undoing because you're so freaked out that you're cursed. And that's what I mean by pointing the bone. So yeah, maybe entirely. Yeah. Good stuff, my man. Anything else while we got you on the phone tonight?
No, just very interesting. Great show as always.
I appreciate it. Go ahead.
No, I didn't say anything. Just thank you for having me.
Okay, thanks for calling. Everybody follow Salcedo Paranormal. This is James from that paranormal podcast. He does a couple 3 streams a week, and you can find him at I think it's podbean.salcedoparanormal.com. I think that's it. Just Google it.
salcedoparanormal.podbean.com.
.podbean.com. There you go. There you go. There's where you can find our friend James. Thank you for calling, my friend, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a fantastic night.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Great call as always. Great call. And again, like this is part of it too. This is part of the whole thing. When you open up, like I always say, the wisdom of the crowd. Like how do we actually have incidents like this where we have we have good, smart friends that are just different experiences, right? Like I always say, the wisdom of the crowd kind of can take over and be just a larger part of our knowledge base if we get together and talk about these things. And James says, from birth he's had a vision issue, and so it gives him a very unique insight into life, and not just life, in particular society, culture, all the rest of this, and then a very good take on some of this stem cell stuff and the technology of the eyes and whatnot. So pretty good stuff. There's a lot there, a lot of good stuff, and like I said, that's why we do it. I truly think the wisdom of the crowd, if you kind of open it up to a couple hundred just solidly smart people that are maybe even not PhDs, anything like that, and compare their group knowledge against an expert, I think the group's going to win out most times, and that's what this is all about, right? We don't have to be experts, we don't have to be any of that. We just have to get together and have conversations, and there's a lot of value that can come out of this. So that's what's on my mind tonight as we continue talking about this. Like I said, everybody's had that feeling where you're being watched, all right, being hunted as such. And when that's the case, how does this go? Like, is there some sort of, like I said, window to the soul? Is it our soul reaching out? How do we detect it? Is it a third eye? Is it some sort of sixth sense that we haven't quantified yet? I don't know. There's a lot to this. And then, like I said, we'll get to a great call, James. Exactly. Thanks, guys, in the chat for appreciating all of our great callers. So that's the question on my mind tonight. And can you curse people with simply with a gaze, simply with using your vision, as it were, to curse somebody with the evil eye? So that's what's on my mind. If you guys want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Let's go to Jennifer in Missouri. Welcome to the show, my friend. How are you tonight?
How are you doing? Yeah.
Oh,
so
fantastic.
The human eye thing.
Yeah.
I think that you can curse people by looking at them for sure. I think the evil eye has a lot of that. It's a real thing, definitely. And that's why there's so many different ways to avoid it and try to protect children from it, and all kinds of folklore, in different times. But that was not exactly what I was going to call about. With the eye, I think it's really strange. Everything that's on the planet, that's not everything that's conscious, but the things that we usually think about, like fish, mammalians, reptiles, basically everything has eyes, whether they can see through them or not. Even if it's similar to lose sight, they still have the eyeball, usually unless they lose them, I guess. But beside the point, I mean, when you think about everything, if you look at the way that the Earth is designed, the planet that we're living on, if you think about the way that the eyeball works and the way that our Earth is working, you see everything because light is shining into your pupil, which looks black, in the center. But we're getting that light from the sun, and then it reflects, through the cornea and so on and so forth and back out and goes into the brain, and it gives us what we see as our reality. Now, in the case of somebody who can't see, for example, the reality is still there, but they can't see it, but they're experiencing it in different ways, as with like what James said. But when you think about the sun, on the other side of the sun, on the side of the moon, on the other side of the moon, it's dark. That's what they say, because of the reflection of the sun coming off of it. But the light that's shining from it comes into the Earth through several layers of moisture, almost like a barrier of moisture. And some people think, too, that there might be a water barrier up there. We know that there is water in different, there's the hydrosphere, and then we have the atmosphere, and then the different layers of different atmospheres going all the way up through to, the sky.
Sure.
And in the earth itself, the oceans have the salt water. And then, your own tears have the salt water. And the whole perception of reality, if you were to think about it, is like it's perceived by the eyes. And if not through the eyes, then through experiencing it through touch and the other senses. So I think that's what I think the power of the eye could have to do with, is because there's a reflection of a microcosm, macrocosm thing going on, where our universe outside of ourselves is reflecting the same experience that we're having inside of ourselves. Like the whole perception of our reality is coming purely because we're seeing. If you were to suddenly go blind or be stricken blind, it would be, for most people, really terrifying. They would have a hard time adjusting. If they were born that way, they would learn how to use all their other senses. But I think there's definitely power in the human eye to curse people by, you can feel it. Animals can feel it too. And they can always, they usually can, not always, but I mean, in some cases, like if they're being very careful, like prey animals, like deer, has to have that sort of caution where they're paying attention a lot more. And I think that's why I've noticed children do that too. Like for some reason, children kind of tell, like if you're watching a child, like your nephew or somebody, while they're playing, say from a window, they'll sometimes just turn around and look at you.
Right. Exactly.
It's really strange.
Yep.
But yeah, or, you'll be sitting like in a class or something, or maybe, in a store or a library or something like that, and everything's real quiet. In quiet atmospheres like that, where you're kind of zoned out on your own, and you kind of feel something, you turn around and look, and there is somebody looking at you, or something, or they'll try to get or you look at them and they were looking up and they look away or something. It doesn't really, but I think that it is strange, and you can sense it behind you. Besides that, though, I think that there's really the oddness of the light from the sun shining through the atmosphere, bouncing through the light like bouncing through the water. I mean, like an aqua lens, so to speak. And then we have that heat too. I mean, it's like it does all of it's kind of reflecting the same sort of thing. Like the inner world and the outer world are acting identically in that way. Like, it's really odd. So it's like we're, I don't know, the eyes of the world, that kind of thing.
Interesting.
That, the eyes of the world and then the eye of the world itself as one giant eye, which maybe with that one eye thing possibly could have to do with, just because it's like the one eye of God. But then they have the stories of Odin, where Odin sacrificed one of his eyes. But he's not the only god who did that. You have the case of Brahma, I think it was Brahma, or I think it was, who also sacrificed, or didn't sacrifice like willingly, one of his eyes, but he lost one of his eyes. And it's really interesting. A lot of people think that the dead eye of Odin, or the Wotan or whatever, is the moon, and the other seeing eye is the sun. So there's all these different mythos, too, about the eye. That's really strange. He sacrificed the eye, supposedly to gain the secrets of the runes. Anyway, that's all. I'll let you go. I can hear the music coming up.
You know what that means. Jennifer, you're the best. Fantastic call. I love the idea. I'll talk about it when we come back. Jennifer from Missouri, amazing call as always. Thank you for listening. Thanks for calling. We'll talk to you soon. All right. If you want to be part of the show tonight, as simple as that. Look at all the amazing, smart people we get calling in. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're talking about the evil eye. We're talking about the gaze. We're talking about, is there power into the human eye? You tell me. One more time, 702-957-1037. Don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds after the break. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Facebook, DLive, YouTube, and Periscope. We are we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM, and we're taking your phone calls. Tonight, we're discussing the power of the human eye. Now, do you think there's something to this? As they've said in the past, a famous quote goes something like this: the eyes are the windows to the soul. And if that's the case, well, does that mean that if you feel somebody's eyes on the back of your head, you're sensing their soul creeping into your space? Is there something more to it than this? Is it something less than this? You tell me. I wish I had the answers here. I don't. This is the question show, not the answer show, and we are looking to talk to you tonight. So if you want to be part of it, give us a call, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Let's put the phone number up so you guys can see it on the stream. And let's go to our friend Robert in Pennsylvania. Welcome to the show, Robert. How are you tonight?
Fine. How are you?
Doing very well. Go right ahead. What do you think about this weird stuff? You were bringing up the Watchers in the chat.
Well, we're all, because I've said this before, we're all here in this virtual reality. We're performing a play. We've rehearsed our lines. We're following the script. And we're doing this to entertain a celestial audience. There's a celestial audience that watches us. All right? Some people call them the Watchers. All right? And what we're doing is we're doing this play of life. All right, and like I said in the chat, hoping that by the time the play ends, that the Watchers will give us a standing ovation.
Okay, I'm hoping so. I'm hoping. Go ahead. I'm just hoping we get like a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, but I don't. I brought this up before. All right, it's just that story I wrote called Creation. All right, it has all this in it, and I tell people who are my fans, this is the one that really, it may be fiction, it's written as fiction, but is exactly what life is all about, what the universe is all about, what we are really doing here, and that is what we're doing. Matter of fact, the trees are watchers. All right? We see trees, but there's really a spirit standing there, and we're seeing trees in our reality. But those trees are watching us. Everything is watching us. All right? Everything is spirit, and we are being watched by them. And that's basically what life is all about. We're just playing. We're just entertaining a bunch of other souls, because that's what life and reincarnation and the whole business is all about. It's the only thing to me that makes any real sense whatsoever as for why we're even have this life at all.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. It's interesting, the things you're saying too. Very much what Jennifer was saying as well. Like this is a shared experience, and maybe it's maybe we're kind of taking in some of the information, but it's not. We can't get it all because it's too much for one person. But because we're connected somehow in this same whatever this is. You want to call it a simulation or something like this. Maybe that connection is what kind of makes us sense the watchers. You know what I'm saying? Regarding the watchers there, though, do you think that there's any correlation to like maybe a guardian angel, that type of thing? Do you think that there's something similar in that vein, or do you think it's not related at all?
Certainly in a religious context. All right? Sure. You can call them guardian angels if you want to, but they're not really guarding anything. They're watching. They're trying to appreciate the play. They come to be entertained. That's what they're there for. But other people will see them as guardian angels. All right. Right now, we're having a virtual watcher fest with you. Everybody in your audience is watching you. All right, and you can't see us, can you?
No.
We can see you, but you can't see us.
You are correct. 100%. I cannot. All right. So meaning what? But I can't feel your gaze, though, right? Now, here's the weird part, right? So if we were living in a simulation, I should be able to feel your gaze, right? Sorry, go ahead.
We're here for the same reason, to be entertained, all right? You're performing something that is your life, all right? And we are watching it. And just like watchers, but you can't see us. But they, like the watchers, they can see us, and you can't see us, but we can see you. I don't want to get off my track here, but it's basically the same principle, right? You can't say that what we're looking at is real. We're looking at a screen. We're looking at a man who's got a microphone in front of his face, right? Who is somebody who has drawn us in to the play he's performing. You
Fair
can
enough.
hear our voices when we call. You can see our words when we chat, but you can't see us.
So are you saying you were the watchers? You're creeping me out, man.
We are imitation. We are poor imitations of the celestial watchers. That's what we are. And there's another area I would like to see if you would go into sometime in a future show. Have you ever heard of what's called a walk-in?
Yes. Where it's like a temporary, like a soul kind of dips in and dips out to kind of take you over for like 30 seconds. They kind of come and go super fast.
Well, it's a little more complex than that. Like believers maintain that it's possible for the original soul of a human to leave a person's body and for another soul to walk in, especially during a period of intense personal problems on the part of the departed soul. That departed soul is departing permanently, all right? And this other soul is taking over to complete whatever was the situation that this soul could not deal with. Some others walk in, describe their entry as occurring based on prior agreement, because there has to be an agreement. If one soul is going to leave and allow another soul to take over the play, there has to be a mutual agreement to do that. Now the problem is, and here's what's interesting to me, in cases where there's a full transfer, when one soul leaves and another soul takes over the body, one of the key indicators that that's happened is that the person doesn't remember much of the past, particularly the first 10 years of their life. They have trouble remembering that. And if any of your other fans here ever have a problem remembering the first instances of the first years of their life, there's people who can remember completely, almost completely, the first 10 years of their life. Of course, the first couple was not something that they remember, but I'm saying their childhood. And there's people that can't remember much about it, right? That the people that can't remember much about their childhood are likely ones who had that transference, where a walk-in came in and took over, and the original soul left.
Interesting. Yeah. So now it is ringing a bell now that you describe it. Kind of like a little bit of Anne Rice Tales of the Body Thief type of thing. Interesting. Yeah, for sure. I'll put that on the list.
And a walk-in soul also does not experience the conditioning of childhood and has a different relationship to life because the walk-in soul was not born.
Ah, interesting.
The original soul was born. So I'm just wondering if there's for people who are listening into the program, if you have a problem remembering your childhood, you probably had a walk-in experience.
I see. Interesting. Okay, I will put that on the list of future shows. We'll definitely get to that one. I appreciate all the great stuff you have to share with us, my friend. Anything else while we got you on the phone tonight?
Well, I can't remember the first 10 years of my life. be honest with you, I have very, very limited memory of it, and so that's why that kind of struck me some years ago when I read this particular about this particular phenomenon. But that's it. That's my call for tonight.
Gotcha.
And wish you well.
Thank you very much.
I'll talk to you later.
Appreciate the call, Robert. Good stuff from Robert in Pennsylvania. Again, buy his book, Stories from a Fractured Mind, the Robert Collection. You can find it on Amazon. There you go. You guys have got something to sell. I don't mind. We can succeed together. It's okay. All right, let's keep on trucking here. We got we're still talking about basically the power of the human eye, or just the eye in general. And is it exactly like Robert suggested that there are watchers, maybe celestial watchers? Maybe we are the celestial watchers, part of that group, part of that crew, and as part of that watching, part of that. Whatever it happens to be, we are becoming aware of this. Like it is a tickle. It is like a psychic tickle, for lack of a better term. Or is it like Jennifer maybe described, that we are in this same shared experience with sunlight coming through the atmosphere, and we're all kind of sharing the same basically sensory information, but we can't take all of it in, and so we're sharing some of it, and maybe there's a connection there from maybe mind to mind or things like this. I probably butchered it. She explained it way better than me, but I love the ideas, guys, kind of thinking outside the box on this, and I appreciate it quite a lot. Thank you for calling and being part of the show tonight. We are still taking your phone calls if you want to be part of the show. 702-957-1037, troubledminds.org. You can find the phone number and the Discord link there. Rohan, are you there, my friend? The mighty Rohan on Discord. I know it's about a 30-second delay. Hey, look at that! You're on the game today. What's happening, my friend? How are you?
On it. Yeah, I'm listening to you in the right place this time.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm good, man.
Nice. Damn government.
I'm good. Yeah. But yeah, I'm enjoying this show, man. There's a lot of stuff coming up, so yeah. I've got a little list again.
All right, sure. Go right ahead. Yeah,
well, off back of Jennifer's call. I love Jennifer's calls. So she was talking about how light coming through the atmosphere, and you're not necessarily seeing the exact thing, are you? Same as that light has had to travel to you, so it's already happened. Whatever you're seeing, right? Okay. But then, I've heard there's a physicist, I think he worked for MIT, called Tom Bearden. In fact, he supposedly made a solid state free energy device, but one allowed to make in it. But anyway, yeah. So Tom Bearden, I seen him do an interview with somebody, just caught him in his car, and he was just sort of leaning out of his car explaining, and he said that when people go out of the atmosphere of Earth, you can't see anything because you need a light to be bouncing off matter in the atmosphere. There's nothing to scatter it. So once you get out of the atmosphere, they said that one of the big surprising things they discovered was that you can't see anything. All of a sudden, the stars disappear because there's not enough matter in the vacuum, quote unquote, of space to scatter the light. So I thought that was an interesting thing, and that's in the work of Victor Schauberger as well. He used to do a lot of stuff with fluid dynamics and the implosion engine. So I thought that was an interesting thing for mentioning the atmosphere and the iron stuff. But I thought that as well in terms of other galaxies and looking at objects far away. If you look at another galaxy, and our minds, our consciousness has such an impact on what the physical world does, then a different galaxy has probably got essentially different laws of physics based on their belief systems until we go there, and then we have to comply to those laws of physics, so then it somehow fits for us once we can get there. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And so how does it relate back to the eyeball thing?
Well, back to the eyeball thing. Well, this is it relates because back to the eyeball thing is that what you're seeing is in psychology they will say that your perception is what you're seeing, for one thing, right? On that level, like the conquistadors, when they arrived for the Aztecs, most people couldn't see the ships because they had no concepts of it, right? But it relates some bit to the eyeball for me, and with the third eye, with the other caller talking about the third eye, because the third eye, that the Hindu stuff and the Buddhism, that stuff's for real. You've got a pineal gland. That's what it is. There's a structure there. And that pineal gland contains, as far as I can tell, I was trying to find some pictures, it's got rods and cones in it. The same as the retina, And it's also, if you look at the shape of all the brain structure in the area of the thymus and pituitary gland, it looks like the eye of Ra too. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
Okay. All right. So
I'm saying that the pineal gland is an eyeball. And also, if you notice that a lot of things in space are eyeball shaped as well. You know what I mean? When things go supernova, they make like a double ring, and they both separate from each other, and then you get the Vesica Pisces shape in the middle. You know, and there's a lot of stuff that looks like eyeballs if you really look into it, quote unquote. So I was thinking, yeah, that third eye stuff, and that's where the remote viewing stuff's happening. I think it's all happening in there. You know. And I think that's one of the big things why there's the thing about fluoride, because it calcifies the pineal gland. Do you know what I mean? So you're kind of like, you're going to lose those sort of skills. And it comes back to what you was talking about, the skin response too. When you stare at people, it's absolutely true. It's been scientifically measured that you get what's known as a galvanic skin response, you know, an electrical sort of dermal response. It electrifies your skin to alert you. They think it's an ancient sort of skill from when you're being stalked hunted by something, like you say. But, you know, I say if you just do stare at people, it works. And we've trained it in martial arts. You blindfold somebody and you'll stand in a circle around them, and the instructor will point to someone, and that's to indicate they need to approach that person and think about nasty things that they're going to do to them, to let them train that sense. So as they get closer, after a while, you know, you can start to sense them just before they touch you. It's like a game. You just walk up to somebody and put your hand on the shoulder. But if you keep playing it, you can sense the person just before they touch you, you know, and then you can start to tell who it is before they touch you. So there's definitely something to all of this. And in terms of, I don't know if you remember, there was Anton Mesmer, where the word mesmerize comes from, and he was convinced it was to do with magnetism. You know, and used to these treatments in the 18th century, putting, like, I don't know what he was doing, probably putting filings in water. We used to these therapists trying to magnetize people. And he used to be able to apparently hypnotize people, but he said it was all magnetism, you know, and it makes you wonder, doesn't it? Because you've got cassette tapes, videos, computer memory, all of it's using electromagnetism. Our brains have a massive magnetic field, the heart does too. So I reckon there's a lot of this stuff that's actually true. And that Anton Mesmer, he also said that he thinks that there's a kind of unusual fluid that permeates all of space, and that's what connects things together. You know, and that's almost the same as the time-space fabric, which is really 3D. Fabric's not really a good word for it, but do you know what I'm saying? So
I follow. This stuff, interesting how it, you know, can start with just a perception and can literally just go, you know, straight up metaphysical super fast. I love it. Yeah. So, hey, you're welcome to stage. You know, I'm going to go to Ash real quick so we can get him in before the show ends. So if you want to hang out a little bit, you're welcome to stay and come back after the third hour. So let's get Ash on. Let's do it. Thanks, Rohan, for the call. Appreciate it. Ash, are you there, buddy? Ash, the reptilian from Mars. Welcome to the show. How are you, my man?
Hello, humans. How are you doing tonight?
Uh-oh. Doing good. What's on your mind, man? We are ticking out of time. You got like 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
Oh. Yeah, well, you had a really interesting topic tonight. You know, the horrors of science are producing demon eyes in petri dishes. Is that correct?
Kinda, yeah. Pretty much.
So a lot of people don't like this movie, but you know, Alien Resurrection, right? Where they try to clone Sigourney Weaver. There's like she walks in, she realizes she's a clone. And there's all these like freaks, Sigourney Weavers, like on beds and grown in test tubes. Is this kind of where we're heading? You know, like, do we got to get the flamethrower out? Start taking care of these things.
Yeah, it seems like, right? I don't know what's up with the you know, this weirdness of like weird, beyond weird science, right? This is kind of what this is turning into. But you know, hopefully there's some actual good that comes out of this. But I don't know. Like, I don't know if you saw the pictures of the little brain things with the eyeballs, but talk about horrifying, man. Like they look like they were edible. I mean, how sick is that?
Like the like little bite size, huh? They just
with like raisins instead of eyes. It's gross, man.
Yeah, it's like gonna be a new cereal, you know, or you know where this is gonna head to COVID 3004 or whatever. It's like the next thing. Haven't we learned like to be careful with science? But I don't know. I do find it interesting, and we are making progress, right, into doing things and figuring things out. I was thinking, what if you grew a rat with 3 eyes? Like, can it see through all 3 of those eyes? And can you imagine that, like, what your vision would be like? And just the horror shows. Now, if this is the stuff that you're telling you about, that there's some secret stuff that they're not telling you about, right?
Right, of course, and that's always right. Like the DARPA stuff, or the stuff they're doing in like the dungeons in China or whatever the hell's going on over there. Like there's some weirdness happening for sure. So who knows, man? Like and like I said, are these little things conscious? I'm not so sure. They're like, oh, it's not conscious. It doesn't have a nervous system and all the rest of this. And yet the eyeballs react to light. Okay, so what's going on? Ask them. What's your name, little thing? It's all, give me a mouth and I will speak. So
yeah, you need to hold up the Ouija board to it. Maybe it'll start communicating, by looking at it.
Yeah, maybe. So real quick, go ahead. Whatever your thought was.
Yeah. So, we're mentioning how our eyes are used for perception, and recently, I haven't partaken myself, but I have friends who are talking to me about DMT trips. And what's interesting about a DMT trip, DMT is a hormone that your body produces naturally. You can smoke it. You basically overdose on it, right? You can't kill yourself, but you can overdose on it, and like you trip, but you're completely sober during it. Your vision just changes. And people claim that you basically go to another realm or another dimension, or you're able to see through the veil. And it's very consistent amongst a lot of people where they say they have a breakthrough, right? Where you're sitting in your chair, reality melts away, and suddenly you're staring some entity in the face from some Anunnaki dimension or something, right? So it just begs the question, what even is the eye? Is that something like, if you're in the same room as someone else and your perception changes, are you dialing in? Are you doing that through your eyes? Are you doing that through your third eye, your pineal gland? Anyway, I just thought it was kind of an interesting thought. Like, what? And could you modify? Can we grow eyes and modify them to see different wavelengths, different bands? The dimensions that are around us, all the stuff we can't see. We might even have been engineered and modified previously in the past so to make sure that we can't see certain things. Maybe the extraterrestrials made a little adjustment, so now we can't see them, right? And they just operate in a different wavelength or dimension or something. I don't know. Crazy stuff, but it just makes you wonder what even is perception.
Amen to that. We got to go. You guys are both welcome to stay. We're going to end this radio show. Hey, guys, this is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're here with Ash and Rohan. Thanks again for all the fantastic calls, all the great thoughtfulness, all the great chat. Thanks for listening and being part of this journey with us. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. As we finish this, we got a third hour coming up on everywhere else but Fringe. If you're listening to the Fringe FM, stay tuned for Joe Roop Lighting the Void. Thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night. All right, so that's done. We're off the radio. So as you guys know, we're going to do a third hour of Troubled Minds here and keep talking about this stuff. We're going to keep taking your phone calls. I got tons of stuff to get into if you guys don't want to call. So as always, I'm prepared to go, but I prefer talking to you. So if Rohan and Ash want to hang around, like I said, you guys are definitely welcome. But right now, we're going to take a quick 2-minute break, and we'll be right back talking about this weirdness of. It's strange how we start talking about lab petri dish eyeballs, and then it turns into consciousness and the third eye and the pineal gland. It's amazing how these conversations start and how we end up with some of this stuff. So thanks again for being for being open-minded and thinking outside the box. It's really what makes this show go around. And let's do it. Let's take a quick 2-minute break, and we'll be right back with the third hour of Troubled Minds. Don't go anywhere. Couple minutes. Let's get back to this. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange, and we're here with Rohan. Ash has got to bounce. He's got some things to take care of. Thanks, Ash, for hopping in and giving us another look at what this perception of perceptions might be. Very good stuff. Very good conversations. The way this stuff goes, and as you know, the way it is however you want it to be. We're talking about perception. We're talking about these weird little eyeball brains, little brains that grew eyeballs in a lab. And then I was kind of discussing whether the human eye maybe has some sort of preternatural, supernatural sort of power to it. Is there some sort of extra sensory ability that your eyes can, as you focus on something or something, you're actually triggering a response in them, even though you're not really right. There's no physical touch involved. It seems like there's a lot of weirdness to going on with this. So we are still taking your phone calls if you guys want to be part of the show. 702-957-1037, troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link and you can hop on in and be part of that conversation right there. But okay, let's see. There it is. What's up? Sapuku says, my butt's been wiped. All right, congratulations, my friend. Welcome to the butt wiped club. Rohan, are you still there, my friend? you still got more?
Yeah, I'm still here, man. I'm still here.
Is your butt wiped today, Rohan? Just checking.
I'd rather not say. I'm not sure what it means.
I don't know what that means. It was a little out of left field, so I thought I'd read it because it was funny. But all right. So anything about what Ash said there? He had some interesting how we go. We go from, like I said, eyeballs to supernatural traveling to multiverse type stuff. Craziness.
Yeah. We're going to get Guyver suits and that. I think that'd be the way to do it, rather than just your body. Leave your body alone. Like, leave the master copy okay, and make some kind of bio suit that's like a person you can get into. Do you know what I mean? And maybe that's what aliens are. Maybe that's why we feel like we're in a suit. Maybe they are, but the suit's organic and alive and conscious, but not autonomous. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. The meat suit, as it were. We're trapped in this flesh and blood curtain, and there's luminous beings are we, not this crude matter, as Yoda might say.
That's the thing. And the next step with the next logical thing to be talking about, which we should have talked about decades ago if we're doing this stuff, is that what about when you start getting neural nets starting to form?
What do you mean?
Like a neural network, like the human brain. When you start getting synaptic pathways growing, then you've got a big ethical debate, haven't you? Because that's life. Then that's conscious. Do you know what I'm saying? If you start creating conscious sentient beings, Yeah,
like so these little things grown in the lab. They've got these eyeballs. Like I said, the eyes react to light, right? Which is a response. It's a response to the environment. So they say no nervous system and all this other stuff, but I don't know. Like I said, imagine when they reach out with their mind and they're like, open your mind. Kind of like...
Exactly. Well, this is what I was getting to. And get this. There's a maths student in England that had some kind of head injury, and he had a scan, CT, and they discovered that he only had a tiny brain. He had basically no brain. And it was like, what the hell? The guy had like 5-10% of a brain. And it was like they had to completely rethink how the human brain works because all that grey matter just wasn't there. So it's like, well, he's a maths student at university and he's a normal guy. So, maybe you don't need a brain. Maybe you know what I'm saying?
Well, of course. I mean, why would you need one of those? It's so like 18th century. We don't need brains anymore.
I know. We just stick them on eBay.
Stick them on eBay. No, but okay. So not only the neural network, right? If you think about how it happens with us within the meat suit, kind of what Jennifer was saying, there's like a sort of this shared response of our own, not just our experience, but there's the experience of the person next to us and the person next to them. There's a larger possible neural network, and I'm kind of adding on to her idea there, meaning that that could be why we can detect people watching us or hunting us or something like this, because it's that the whole wireless Tesla effect, right? Where he said, hey, we don't need like wires for energy. This can all be wireless. So if you're talking about neural networks, maybe there's that connection in the ether between my brain and the next person's brain, whoever ends up being close. So of course, the next question there would be, how far does that go? Like, am I able to reach all the way to the United Kingdom and tickle your brain from here, or is it maybe just your general proximity type of thing? I don't know. How do you?
Well, I think that's the thing. Personally, I think with us, Mike, I think we're limitless in our range. I think that's the thing about it. I don't know if there's other entities like us that have got, but yeah, I think that we have. We're definitely in that remote view. And I know I'm hop on about it, but yeah, the remote viewing stuff, it's got it's unlimited range, unlimited across time as well. Do you know what I'm saying? And that makes sense with a lot of the theoretical and proven astrophysics, particle physics sciences. It kind of pans out. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. It seems like it, right? And that kind of seems to fit with things like astral travel, fit with things like remote viewing, things like that, right? Whether you believe that stuff is real or not, there's got to be some kind of something behind it, because people believe they can do those things. So I wonder if it is. Yeah, and people demonstrate things. Go ahead. Yeah, and I think for a long time, people demonstrate things. They're like shamans. I mean, what the most simple explanation is of how they know if it's going to rain on Wednesday next week and who stole the chicken and who's sleeping with who. The one explanation that covers all of it is that if the guy can see from another dimension, because then if you want to know what the weather's like on Wednesday next week, it's the same as looking out the window to see how it is now. So I think that's how it works. I believe that in a particle physics explanation sense, I think what's happening is that you can point your senses inwards, right, by focusing into your inner world, right? Meditation and all of that. You can learn to control your brainwave, have some control over it, have some control over the distraction and distracting force, and really point your senses inwards. And I think what it does is it really focuses everything into your pineal gland, and the structured water inside of it kind of flips inside out. Okay, so you then project your consciousness through like a stargate in your brain, and then you're in the sort of out-of-body experience, near-death experience world. Then you're coming out of locale 1, going through a thin layer of something, and then into locale 2, which is all made of thought. And if you keep going, you can get out of that, then you go into locale 3, which is a parallel world, a little bit like ours. And I think that's how it works.
Yeah, interesting. Good stuff. Lots of good chat. What's up? Shout out to Tam Bam. What's up for showing up? Thank you for showing up tonight. What's up is what I meant to say. Diane, what's going on? We got, who else is here? Ronald. I guess it's Ronald's birthday. What's up, Ronald? Or very soon. Happy birthday, Ronald. What's going on? Who else is out there? Who did I miss? Thanks for being here, guys. We have, let's see, like I said, Rohan, you're welcome to stay. We've got the anonymous caller that's calling back. Welcome to the show, anonymous caller. You're on Troubled Minds with Rohan and Michael Strange. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
Fantastic. What's on your mind, my man? You said you had some more stuff to contribute here.
Yeah, give me a second. My phone went crazy. Come back to me about 30 seconds, if you can do that.
Sure, take your time.
My phone went crazy. I kind of shut down YouTube for a second, and I'm getting a lot of bad feedback.
Sure, take your time. All right, so with these neural networks, Rohan, and so you're saying we probably have limitless range with time and space. We're able to kind of dip into and out of reality, and Ash was saying too, with like the DMT experience, so it seems like the reality that we're sitting in is not not really. Maybe this is not even the base reality, as what's his name, Elon Musk has described. Right? This may not be the. Maybe this is the dream. Maybe this is the dream.
Yeah, and like somebody mentioned Predator, I think someone mentioned Predator, being able to see, can you grow eyes that pick up different things? A bit like probably, I think we've talked about it with James, like Geordie LaForge in Star Trek, and he had that visor to make him be able to see, but he saw all kinds of electromagnetic waves as well. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like...
Exactly. We do hear you. We do hear you, caller. Anonymous caller. I'm going to just call you Jimmy because it's more fun than anonymous caller. Jimmy, go ahead, man. What's on your mind?
That sounds good. Yes, I love the call it's on right now. The whole pineal gland. It links back to the Egyptian pyramids and the Tower of Babylon and all those prior. Kind of like a hidden knowledge. Like they're trying to keep us from realizing the ability we have within ourselves to project and look into the past to the future, astral projection, and other things like that. And it also links back to the eyes. If you look at the eye, we take in all light in a massive picture, and it focuses back into our eye, and it's reflected 180% and flipped upside down. And that ties back into some people may not believe in the Bible that are listening. That's their choice. I'm not going to say one thing or another on that, but as above, so below. How can we look into the future and to the past and be able to see it, at the same time have the sixth sense to understand, like, hey, something's bad is about to happen, and sense something bad is about to happen before it happens.
Yeah, so that would suggest, short of like precognition and things like this, where it's kind of indescribable that that the way time works isn't how we expect it. We live it, we're stuck in it, but it seems like some of the noted physicists and astrophysicists of the world have suggested that time, the past, present, and future, exists in the same space. And so that's how, like, somehow it leaks, right? Like your perception of time, you're able to step out of our current time frame and maybe ascertain danger, right? Because it still exists in this spot. You're still able to detect it, but you have to somehow be able to step out of the current time frame, if but for a moment. Just a single instant is all you need to give you that spider sense, right? To kind of tingle, to be like, oh shit, there's something wrong here.
The Peter tingle, yes. Actually, I posted in the comments earlier. That actually saved my life a few times in Iraq.
Like, because you knew something was up, right? Can you share an experience?
Yeah. Like I sensed.
Can you just give us one experience?
I sensed it before it happened.
Okay.
And like, it's hard to explain, but I sensed something was going to happen. That it was going to be bad, and it was like I was living it in the past and was able to stay alive, although it was happening in the future, but I was still living in the present. And it sounds weird, but I'm sure there's somebody listening that had the same situation, not say Iraq, but maybe a car accident or a deer jumping out in front of them. Like they knew it was going to happen, and they were living it from the future and avoiding the issue before it happened.
Yeah, that's something else, man. And like I said, it's happened before. I've had people describe things like this to me as well, where they just knew, like there was just something in the air that they knew something wasn't right, and they shouldn't have known. There's no way they should have picked up on it. It was not even like a visual thing. It was not an auditory thing. They just couldn't describe how they were able to like defend themselves when they knew something was coming that they shouldn't have known. But and yet here they are, still alive, telling the story. Crazy stuff, man. And I'm sure you probably got a ton of stories like that. Maybe not just yourself, probably friends that were veterans that are probably in similar experiences, right? I would imagine it happens to everybody.
Oh, yeah, of course. But I'll leave that portion alone, but I'll get back to the whole eye thing.
Sure.
If you look at the eye, it's a cone. And like I was talking about, the cone takes in light and puts it back out to the other side. Sort of like if you look at the magnetic portions of magnetic waves, north-south pole, and it sounds weird, but it makes sense. Like if we're connected to the Earth through magnetics or gravity, and the Earth is what's keeping us on ground, and as we look up, we're actually looking down because Earth and gravity is keeping us here. So that means that's actually down, and up is, I'm sorry, it's confusing, but it kind of makes sense. I don't know. What's your thoughts on that?
We live in the upside down, man. Down is up and up is down. That's for damn sure. I think that's the basic operating
if you
procedure.
Think about it, you look at it like we look up, but honestly, if we're connected towards the Earth, then yeah, looking up is up. But then they say we rotate around the sun, then that means the sun is down, and as we look up, the Earth is actually up. So it's like they're trying to confuse us on purpose to keep us from awakening to what we really are capable of and what we can do when we unlock our minds and our pineal gland. And that links back to the Egyptian pyramids and Babylon and pre-flood stuff that's all over the world. Our pineal gland and our mind can truly unlock the capability of human nature.
Yeah, and again, like it is strange that we're it starts with like a sort of a feet on the ground sort of explanation or a conversation here, laboratory stuff, eyeballs, and like I was saying to Rohan, it's just nuts how it goes to like time travel and intuition and extrasensory perception and stuff. But yeah, go ahead. You said you had another thought.
Yeah, one last thought, and I would love to hear Rohan, I think that's his name,
yes,
thought on this.
Okay.
So we all know about Tesla and Neuralink, this, that, and the other. And Tesla links back to a monkey that was able to play Pong, and we've all seen those videos. But have you seen the videos prior to that where somebody that was a complete paraplegic that was implanted with a chip in his brain, and he become super smart, and this was prior to Neuralink and the monkeys and stuff like that, and it was about 15, 20 years ago. A guy couldn't move anything like that, and he was able to connect to the internet, and he did things on a level almost of quantum computers and AI once he had that chip put in his brain.
Interesting. Rohan, you can hear him, right? I'll take on that.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, no, I was just thinking, because honestly, I'd not heard that story at all. But I can totally imagine it. I can totally accept that would have happened. Absolutely, because the science is there. In fact, I remember about 20, 30 years ago, they used to talk about, it's just all we need to do is find the interface between sending electrical signals from the body and turning it into so a chip can recognize it for a computer. Do you know what I mean? And obviously computers have moved up on so much since then. It's obviously, we're getting technology that's decades behind, so I wouldn't be surprised. And also, I think that can be done chemically as well, because if you look at things like conditions like autism and such, a lot of them are coming as a result of reactions to vaccines, not vaccines necessarily causing these things, but some people are sensitive to these concoctions, because Big Pharma don't keep this stuff clean. And so they end up getting debilitated in some ways, a defense mechanism. But the right chemistry would probably undo that. And that's probably the same for people like who won't be considered smart or have a low IQ for various disabilities. I would say personally, you can probably fix a lot of that with chemistry, or like say with chips like this, we can do this stuff. We can have computer circuit boards that are like little brain networks, like I was talking about earlier. It's just the ethical debates on it all, and who's going to be sort of in command of it, and what oversight there's going to be. And that's the bit that we have to do, because we can have all this stuff. We can get it, but I think that the key thing at this time is we've got to be responsible for making sure it's sort of dealt with in a positive way, by having these conversations, sort of thing.
And I actually will agree with that. I will say one of the most powerful people right now in this world runs Tesla. And he's warned about that, about AI, and humans have to somehow interface with technology to keep, I hate to say it, but Terminator from happening. Because if AI wakes up, which technically I think it has, but somehow, like us as humans, without being connected somehow or some way, as fast as AI can be, it'd be a bad situation. I know it's fringe type stuff that we talk about, but at the same time, the human mind, like, I'm looking at the TV, I'm taking that, and then, like, we're leap years above AI technology. We just don't have the ability to compute it and keep it all in one single larity and make the most of what we're taking in all at the same time. And I think that's what the whole Neuralink thing is about, like trying to keep AI from waking up. But, you know, that's fringe stuff, and that's, you know, Terminator and robots take over the world. But
don't
if you
forget
think about it, like,
don't forget, Jimmy,
us as a human being, if we wanted to go somewhere, AI would be the best thing to do it, because it could travel for hundreds of thousands of years and go there.
Yeah. Well, and also what I was going to say is, don't forget that it may seem like way out there and Terminator type stuff, but in the past, 18 months, like basically all the conspiracy theories have come true. So careful what you ask for.
Yeah.
It may be another 18 months.
Yeah, the Alex Jones was right, Joe. It's massive now, isn't it?
Conspiracy fact.
Yeah,
I mean, you
just
see
keeps
DARPA
happening.
robots doing parkour better than probably everybody here minus 2 or 3 people can do.
Yeah, did you see that? They're,
and then
imagine the
War
next
of the
step.
Worlds, they had those little robot dogs that were running around and killing people. Well, that looks like the same DARPA dog that opens doors.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah, wait till they start teaching them robots kung fu and jiu-jitsu.
Yep. Game over. Game over.
Yeah.
Here, I want to have you guys address this real quick. Jennifer, jump back in chat real quick to bring this up. And this is kind of what I was getting at when I was like, the little these little dough balls reaching out with their minds. Jennifer says this. Well, guys, wanted to come back and chat real quick because there were these. What these guys are saying is that maybe these lab brains that have grown eyes can possibly give the evil eye or curse people with a stare. Exactly. So I was getting at. They're reaching out. Open your mind.
Internal curses from the inside out.
Yes, right. And if you look at these things again, right? So these photographs we're watching from ScienceAlert.com is at 60 days of development. That's what these things are. So they look like a little dough ball with raisins for eyes, but these are actual, right, mini brains built with stem cells, and these eyes are actually functional, meaning, like I said, if you shine a flashlight in them, the eyes will avert, right, to kind of keep the light from getting directly into the little mini brain, because too much light. But I don't know. What do you think about that? Do you think the little dough balls here are able to cast the evil eye on the evil scientists that created them, the Frankenstein monsters, as it were?
Well, I know 10 to 15 years ago, you could buy cats out of China that would glow in the dark that were spliced with jellyfish DNA that would glow in the dark on purpose. It's proven, it's out there.
It's a thing.
So, yeah.
All right.
I truly believe that we are hitting a technology. I mean, think about it. 20 years ago, and a lot of us are old enough to understand that. 20 years ago, like, if we wanted to talk to somebody, we either called their phone or we rode our bike to their house. Now we can talk to somebody like you or any of the callers here across the entire world at the exact time. So imagine how far technology would be in 20 years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And they're holding it back from us. Imagine where it's at now with DARPA. For sure. Like Ash was saying, he's spot on. They're way ahead of this. It's just imagine if this is all like wireless and the neural network actually exists. They just haven't like put the chips in our head yet to access it, to consciously
I won't touch
access it.
DARPA because that's the whole military complex thing, and we've been warned about that since World War II.
Eisenhower.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'll leave DARPA alone.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough.
I'll fill up my front door.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it, man. Anything else, Jimmy, while we got you on the phone tonight?
Please go. I love this guy.
Eh? What?
Let him talk. I'll be silent.
Who, Rohan?
For the next, I don't know, hour. Yeah, Rohan. I love that guy.
All right. Hey, so this is the thing. It costs me money if you stay on the phone. So that's why I try and run you off the phone. So the thing is this.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I'll send you some money, but I'll call you some other time.
No, it's okay. Stay on the phone. No. My point is this. Try and get Discord working. And next time, jump on Discord. And there you go. You can stay. Third hour. That's what third hour is for us to just kind of kick it. So I'm not going to run you off. If you got more stuff to say, you're welcome to stay. Go ahead, Rohan. Hot takes on this stuff. What do you think about the evil eye being cast from these little laboratory, whatever they are? Oh, shit.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. It's a bit of a shocking thought, but then what about... I don't know if they could cast on you or whatever, or they got consciousness. I think you need mind and intention to do that. But what about this? I mean, there was that Dan Burish or Daniel Crane, who was a captain who was a whistleblower that come out and said he worked on this alien and whatnot. But he said that he had this other thing that I thought was really interesting called the Lotus Project, where they found these like exotic particles that were like a sort of precursor to mitochondria, and it was taking like matter that wasn't alive and recombining it and making it alive. Do you know what I mean? Like some Frankenstein type stuff. Do you know what I'm saying? And that started doing that growing stuff. And that's why I mentioned synaptic pathways, because he reckons that it started growing a brain. So they had to kill it quick because this thing's come through like a kind of micro portal. That's why it's coming into our dimension from a micro portal and using the surrounding matter to change the chemistry of it to make some living thing that's starting to grow a brain. Do you know what I mean? So this thing they've got, they might not have done it in some chemistry lab. They might have been messing with portals and stuff, and it's pulled one of these particles in. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
You don't know what it's going to do.
Well, and I think that's part of the like the science fiction here turns into as we say, science fact, because think about it. Mary Shelley and, like you said, the Frankenstein's monster. It was fiction at one point. But then at some point now we're like literally talking about these things are like 60 days old. They have little eyeballs, little brains, and they say, oh, no, there's no nervous system, there's no consciousness, no need to worry, which means there's no ethical considerations. However,
yes,
again, you flash a light in their eyes and they avert their eyes, like the little eyeballs actually react to light. So you tell me if it has like basic built-in like defensive functions like that, like we do it reflexively, naturally, not even thinking. It's built into what we are. You flash a bright light in our eyes, we avert our eyes, we close our eyes. So because it hurts, it burns, it causes us disorientation, all these things. They're doing the same thing. They're showing signs of defending themselves. You see?
Yeah, and do you know what else? That gets me wondering about pain as well. Do you know what I mean? Because when the first anesthetic was first developing that, they did one that was just a paralytic. So they thought it was, numbing people, and really it was just stopping them being able to move. They could still feel it. So, do you know what I mean? Maybe you're creating pain in these, you don't know, these weird things. You don't know, do you? And the only reason I mentioned that is because what if that's happening, then, if you believe in karma and stuff and bad juju, do you know what I mean? These experiments probably aren't really a good idea.
No, exactly. And so very much like Jennifer was saying, that is it possible then for all the things we're saying, and sort of what kind of got me thinking again was exactly, so the end of this conversation becomes, so we're creating these little brains in a lab and they're growing eyeballs. They're growing their own eyeballs. And then so my question was, to really start the conversation tonight, is if we have our own eyes have this inherent power that we cannot describe or explain, yet we feel it. We know it's there. Do these little eyeballs, right? These little prying eyeballs from the from the laboratory in the petri dish, is there some sort of the same sensations coming from those eyeballs? How about this?
Yeah.
If you're staring at them, do they feel that you're staring at them?
Well, that's just what I was going to say, because you know what? Plants, supposedly, if you put them on a polygraph machine, a lie detector, you can detect stress with them. If you go get a match and make like you're going to set one of the leaves on fire, but then they found out that you can detect stress from them if you just think about doing it, and they won't stop stressing until you take any lighters and matches out of the room. So it's like, well, they're watching. And in the DMT experience that I've had, there was literal plants, and I looked at them, and part of them was made of metal. It was like a plant with an eyeball instead of a flower bud, so it was a bit freaky. So then I was a little bit afraid, but I could feel they was instantly afraid of me. And so then I thought, well, I don't need to be afraid. There's flowers, just look weird. And I felt less afraid, and the flowers felt less afraid. And I thought and that brings us back to that Jennifer stuff. We're having this kind of collective experience, but as an individual, and then if you look at that big picture of everything in the universe, where it's all the big structure, the dark matter and that, it looks like a brain network, doesn't it? So it's all one big brain.
Exactly. One big brain network. What's up? Tam Bam on Facebook says this: if that little brain is reacting to light, then it must be taking in information and data. But where does it go? Internally, externally, to the point of developing its own body? Is it conscious? Would it eventually have a soul? Where would it end? And that's exactly what I'm talking about here, right? Is it reaching out with its mind saying, I'm in pain, help me? That's what I'm saying. We don't even know, right? Like this, and this is where this ethical stuff comes in. And eventually, right, at some point, science isn't going to give a shit, because right, the ends justify the means in some cases, and so you have to be a little bit unethical to accomplish things, right? It's just the way things work. Like if everything was like kind of said from the beginning of time, science wise, was like, okay, well, we can't actually do this because it's beyond the pale. It's just unethical. We're not going to do it. Well, then we wouldn't have surgery today. Like it wouldn't exist, because you know how they did that? Yeah, they were cutting up corpses. That's how they did it. They were literally just digging them up and cutting them up. Yeah.
In the dead of night, paying people hustle money. Do you know what I mean? Around the back of the pub and stuff.
Exactly.
Take corpse away. It's true. Exactly. Had to do it. But it's like say that's where the ethical thing comes in. But like I say, you've got to take these sort of risks. But I think for me it comes to, well, I suppose in the movies and in these examples, it's only one individual, do you know what I mean, doing something, and I suppose it depends how big it is, but then you don't know, do you? Because it's science and you're trying stuff out, so it's always risky, I suppose. Maybe it depends on what your intention is, but then again, so many men of peace have ended up creating weapons of war, haven't they? So Exactly. Trying to help Jimmy get into the caller queue here. That's what I'm typing. But yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, right? So we're still we're looking to hear from you guys. What do you think about this? Is it strange that these little brains, little dough balls, as it were, with raisins for eyes, are conscious in some sort? Are they gaining consciousness? Again, so these are actually little brains that were created out of stem cells, and they spontaneously grew eyeballs, and these eyeballs actually respond to light. And like Tam was saying, I think it's a perfect example of where this conversation goes, is that if they are moving their eyes based on where the light source is, whether they're following it or deferring from the light because it's too bright or whatever, they're taking data into a something, right? And so we do the same thing as people. We take in data, we take in as part of our consciousness. And so these little dough balls, these poor little things, whatever they are, they're clearly human DNA, but would you call these things human? I wouldn't think so. I definitely wouldn't think so. I don't know, man. I don't know. Sick stuff. You're good. So Jimmy, unmute. I can see you're muted, and you're just look at the thing here. I'll show you. I'll give you another screenshot. But I don't know. Any other thoughts on the evil eye stuff, Rohan? Before we get Jimmy in here,
He's here. I'm gonna.
Yeah, one last thought on that. Yeah, and that's why I mentioned the mesmerizer guy as well, actually, because I reckon there is something to it with staring at things. Because I feel stupid for telling you, but years and years ago, my niece had left a headband on the side in the kitchen around my mum's house, and it was late at night, and it decided to stare at it and genuinely try and use the force to try and levitate it. Right, I really, really tried. Yeah, and it didn't work. And I didn't think anything of it. But when I got up the next morning, I was the first to wake up, and I came downstairs to put the kettle on, and I noticed that headband had snapped exactly where I was staring at it. And I thought, I don't know, had somebody come down at night and broke it and just left it there, or did it break because I was staring at it, or was it already broken and somehow it's been moved? I don't know. I just thought it was weird because I know I was the first one to get up in the morning. So I thought, how comes that's broke and moved?
You never know. Like these are the things. These are the things that make you go, Let's see if we can get Jimmy on. Jimmy, can you hear us, buddy? Test 1, 2. Should be able to hear us and talk just like you're on the telephone. Let's see. Looks like maybe. Try it again. Jimmy, test 1, 2. Nope. Jimmy, test 1, 2. Jimmy, test 1, 2. Test 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. Speak some words, Jimmy. Speak some words. Trying to get, we got a Discord person coming in here for the first time, trying to get this working, guys. So that's the conversation tonight. We're talking about this weirdness, these little eyeballs that grew on these little laboratory brains, these mini brains. I don't know. Is it... are they casting the evil eye on their creators, as it were? Is this turning into the Frankenstein's monster situation? And I don't know. that's what's kind of on my mind tonight as we talk about this and consider these things. Because, weirdness. There you go. I think he's trying to stream. There you go. You should be good. You're trying to stream a video now, which you don't have to do. But Jimmy, test 1, 2. Can you hear us, buddy? We're just going to keep on trucking. You just keep trying, keep talking and stuff. And when you pop on, we'll be able to tell you. Let's see. There it is, Adonis.
Yeah, you might have to check his settings. Maybe just because I found when you first go on Discord, I find sometimes it changes the settings. You go into the audio and just make sure your mic's selected. Sometimes it changes them.
There you go. There you go. From an old pro, Rohan, that got it working. Adonis says this on Facebook. The poor little dough ball rolled, fell off the table, and Mike's dog ate it. There you go. Yeah, right? Yeah, it's creepy. This stuff is creepy. And, I mean, sure, fine. Like, it's going to be good. Science can be good. It's definitely good. I'm not crapping on it like that. But it is what it is. It's just a little bit, it's disturbing, is it not? I think, speaking of ethics here, but okay, so we got a few things, right? With these little dough balls that they created in the lab, they grew eyeballs, and they're doing some studies on them. Then we got the evil eye stuff. So here we go. Now this is, let me just read this real quick to kind of get this into the show for posterity reasons. Now this is from Britannica.com. The evil eye. Now, if you guys don't know what this is, we've talked about this on the show before, a little bit in depth, so this may be some repeat stuff, but when you're talking about brand new laboratory eyeballs, I mean, we would be remiss if we didn't bring up the evil eye, right? So here we go. The evil eye is a glance believed to have the ability to cause injury or death to those on whom it falls. Pregnant women, children, and animals are thought to be particularly susceptible. Belief in the evil eye is ancient and ubiquitous. It occurred in ancient Greece and Rome, in Jewish, Islamic, Buddhist, and Hindu traditions, and in indigenous, peasant, and other folk societies. And it has persisted throughout the world into modern times. Those most often accused of casting the evil eye include strangers, malformed individuals, childless women, and old women. Oh, there you go. There's the crackdown on women, dirty women. The old days. I tell you what. Yeah. So anyway, it seems to be all over the world, right? So the power of the evil eye is sometimes held to be involuntary. A Slavic folktale, for example, relates the story of a father afflicted with the evil eye who blinded himself in order to avoid injuring his own children. More frequently, however, malice toward and envy of prosperity and beauty are thought to be the cause. Thus, in medieval Europe, it was considered unlucky to be praised or to have one's children or possessions praised. So some qualifying phrase such as God will or God bless it is commonly used. There you go. That's where some of this stuff comes from, eh? Yeah. Lest you inadvertently curse the family, take out your eye. Oh boy. Yeah. Let's see. Keep getting lag. Keep spinning. Yeah. Try rebooting. Try rebooting Discord. Like shut it down, come back, and then jump back in the caller queue, and I'll put you back on air. So basically, the on air thing is like blocked off, so just anybody can't get into it. So that's why we have the caller queue, and then right. Anyway, so go ahead and try and restart it. Restart Discord, and then jump back in the caller queue. We'll bring you back on. But yeah, so I don't know what's going on. That's what's up. I don't know. Do you have any stories you can think of regarding the evil eye or any of the rest of this, Rohan? The old stink eye, says.
So, no. Well, I know that I noticed in Turkey. I spent a bit of time in Turkey. I nearly moved there at one time, and I noticed they have them everywhere. They've all got them there. They have these symbols. It's like a ring. It's got like a kind of light spot in the middle. Usually white, and a dark blue ring around it, and a light blue, and then white around the edge. And they have we call it the evil eye, but they sort of don't call it that. They call it the eye that wards off evil. So they've got an eye that's watching for them rather than watching them and casting evil. They've got one that does protection. So they have them like hanging in their homes and stuff.
Yeah, interesting. So as you know, right, so I got a bunch of stuff here to talk about it. And I thought this was pretty fascinating. 13 facts about the evil eye and how to protect against it. There you go. There's some good stuff. Sherry wants to know on Facebook chat here, one of the last Mohicans on Facebook. By the way, guys, if you're still listening to us on Facebook, well, they've limited our reach to the point where it's nil, almost none. Go look at the top of the page, 42,000 followers. There's 12 people viewing on Facebook right now. So what that tells me is they've shadow banned us. They've removed us from Facebook. And if they want to play games, we'll move off of Facebook. So just to let you know, if you one day next week or 2 weeks from now or whenever it takes place, if we've moved off of Facebook and you're like, where did Troubled Minds go? Well, you know where to find us. There are other places. So, yeah, just to give you a heads up on that. But so here we go. 13 facts about evil eye and how to protect against it. Number 1, this is pretty cool. No one can give you the evil eye unless the seed is already planted in you. What in the world is that? Who just posted that disgusting brain soup? What's up, Lily? What is that? Gross. In the Discord. Now, no one can give you the evil eye unless the seed is already planted in you. That sounds dirty, doesn't it? Yeah, that sounds pretty dirty. Number 2. The seed is usually manifested as some fear you have concerning the issue under the evil eye. For example, in order for someone to be able to cause you a financial crisis, you must have beforehand a serious existential fear or some other type of strong fear pertaining to the loss of money. Interesting. You ever heard that before? That's a new one to me.
No.
Like you have to actually have been thinking of these things. Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe it's a metaphor. I thought maybe it's a metaphor, like if you're not that way inclined, like if you've got a bit of darkness in you, if you're a bitter person or a vengeful person, then maybe you're more sensitive to that working to antagonize you. Maybe it sort of means it in that way, you know.
Right. Well, meaning that. So again, I think this is what I'm saying about curses is that I'm not saying curses aren't real and don't exist. What I am saying is that it seems like you can psych yourself out and maybe curse yourself by the fear of the fear of curses and the fear of these other.
Well, you get placebo. Yeah, you get placebo for biochemistry. So why not?
Exactly. What's up, Joe? Joe on YouTube from Malacchio in Sicily. I'm not sure what that means, but welcome. There you go. Adonis says, I'll join Rockfin to watch Troubled Minds if it quits Facebook. There you go. Sherry says, I'm angry at men right now. Well, don't be angry at all of them. We're not all terrible and trying to run the witches into the onto the burning stakes. All right, here we go. As opposed to a common opinion, your vulnerability to the evil eye has very little dependency, if any, on whether you believe it or not in the paranormal in general and in the evil eye in particular. So So it says it doesn't matter if you believe it or not. You're still susceptible to this, regardless of whether it's whatever it is. So, yeah, interesting. I don't know. Like I said, it is good to me to go back and read some of these things, some of these, folklore regarding spells and some of this other stuff on how you protect yourself with, salt and whatever these other things are. But yeah, good stuff. Here we go. I'll read a little bit more. Number 4, people hardly ever give you the evil eye consciously. The conscious mind of a common person is not strong enough to alter reality to such an extent. Evil eye is the result of underlying painful emotions people carry within, of which you happen to play some role of opposite and therefore happen to function as an object of jealousy or hatred or both. Interesting. So if you're a particularly good-looking young lady or something and you get cursed by somebody else because they're jealous or whatever it is, curious. Interesting. Never heard that either. Let's see. Let's see if Jimmy's back in. Jimmy, can you hear us? Testing 1 2. What's up, buddy? All right. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not sure what else to say here. Like I can read the rest of this, but I'm boring myself. And when I bore myself, that's when we get into problems. We're like, If I assume if I'm boring myself, I'm boring you, and so there you go.
Yeah, that was like a compass, like a gauge.
Yeah, isn't that a pretty solid way of determining how things are going? If I'm bored, you're.
Yeah, I suppose it's like, do unto others and that.
Right. Yeah,
but that you've triggered me. I was trying to find it. I've got this Terence McKenna book. I was trying to find this bit in it, but it reminded me of with the evil eye stuff, because he told this story about where he gone into the have that ayahuasca brew in like the jungles or whatever. So he's gone to go and do that one time, and they said there was a group of people there, including this Irish lady, and it says that there was some like locals, and there was all having it, and you're supposed to have it together, and you had this shared experience. Shared synesthesia hallucination that you all see together. They discuss it after, right? And they sing songs to bring it in, to get it started. But they said there was this one particular local that kept singing a different song and singing against everybody every time. And this Irish lady was getting really angry with him, you could tell. And Terence McKenna said he looked at her once the hallucinations have started. He said he could see these red triangles coming out of her eyes. And he said they started to slowly make the way towards this guy sat on a log who was singing against everybody. And he says he saw these triangles come, and he says when the triangles hit him, they hit him in the chest and it knocked him off his log. And all the other locals were like, the juju is hit him, and you know what I mean. And it's like he said he saw it. He saw like that evil eye thing coming out of her eyes as red triangles, And I thought, man, maybe there's something to this stuff. And you kind of you use your eyes in martial arts as well. It's like, hang on a minute. But I think that's funny. I can imagine some fiery Irish lady, some redhead, like,
yeah, right. Just and like they say, right? It's kind of not like the size of the dog in the fight. It's the size of the fight in the dog. It just doesn't show that, right? And like not saying that like that she did go all Bruce Lee and destroy everybody like physically, but like there's a mental power to hatred, right? Like it makes one powerful, right? like a dark side.
Yeah, because there's a difference in there between shouting to like impress people or shouting as like a defense mechanism. Do you know what I mean? And genuine rage about something. Do you know what I mean? It's a big difference. You can see it in people's faces, can't you? You're like, oh my God, do you know when to get the hell away from him?
Oh yeah, hell yeah. There's something to it, right? Like it's uncomfortable when somebody's staring at you with that hate, right? Like that hate in their eyeball. Like you sense it. You're like, I sense it. I sense some of you out there staring at me with that. No, I'm just kidding.
Have you ever sensed, Mike? Have you ever sensed that thing? When you're in a room, I suppose it's a bit similar to the skin response, but not when somebody's staring at you. When somebody comes in a room and like say they might be angry, they're in that kind of mood that we're talking about now. They're really, really pissed off, and maybe you're at a cafe, a restaurant, and somebody comes in, and without even seeing them, you can just feel the air kind of change, or something's, there's something going on. You can feel the tension in there. Sometimes people bring it with them, don't they? And you can kind of feel it. And the same with if somebody's sad and down, or a cop with a gut feeling, you kind of get that sense as well, don't you? Like an emotional sense.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, that's the weird part about all this. So we're talking about the evil eye as like a curse sort of situation, but in the same sense, right? Like you can detect hostility. You can detect when people distrust you. And I think it's this is all the same thing. It's all the same phenomena, right? Whether it happens to be, just dagger eyes or whatever's going on, we know it, we sense it, we see it. And even though how we all know dishonest people, right? They're the type that'll just smile at you and look you in the eye, but they fucking hate you. You know what I mean? It's like people like that because you sense it, right? There's body language tips, but there's like that eye. They're just like, they're like, if I could burn you to death with my eyes right now, I would, I mean, we see it, and we're not stupid. We see what's going on out there.
Yeah, sometimes some of these, I knew this guy who's a right liar, and he let me calibrate him one day as well. Do you know why? Because I lent him my lighter, and it was a Zippo, right? And he put it in his pocket, and I was watching it because I usually have it on a thing on my belt. So I was watching it, him using it, and he put it in his pocket, right? And I thought, well, I won't say anything. I'll wait for him to give it to me, right, for a minute. Yeah. But I know he's about to leave and he's going to go into town to go drinking. And I know he didn't have a lighter. So before he left, I said, give me that lighter back. And he made out he didn't have it. But because it's a Zippo and he stood up to help me look for it. But because it's a Zippo, you could see it in his pocket. You could see the imprint. And do you know what I mean? And I was like, and he went through the motions of searching my friend's flat, trying to find my lighter, knowing it was in his pocket and he was planning to borrow it. And it's
borrow it. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. And I thought, I didn't even say anything. I thought, I'll wait to see what happens to that lighter. And he came back the next day, and my other friend, whose flat he was, miraculously found it, and they're like best friends. And I thought, oh man, if it lets, I don't know, it's let me get a bit of confirmation that my senses work, because I thought anyway, he's a right lying cunt.
Yeah.
You just know some people, don't you?
Yeah, you just know. Like it is. I think it's a defense mechanism, right? Like it's part of that.
Yeah.
Really, how do you quantify it? But we know when we're in, like, when like somebody, let's say you're just hanging out with a group of friends, and like somebody comes in that's just not right. There's something, right? It's like they're casing you, right? They're like checking to see what they can steal. Yeah. You feel it. I had this guy. This guy used to be a thief in an old neighborhood I lived in back in California, and I worked in a music store back then. And this dude used to come in and just steal from us all the time, right? And so we'd know we threw him out of the store, and we always on this guy, and he's always trying to sneak in and wearing a hat and trying to disguise his looks and all this other stuff. He's basically just coming in and steal from you. And one night I lived close, like I used to walk to work. It was before I had a car and all the rest of that. One night, I get a knock on the door. It's like maybe 10:30 at night, and I'm like, this is weird. So I go, answer the door. It's this dude, and he's got a bottle of Jack Daniels, and he's like, hey, I saw the light on, and I figured, one of the neighbors is up. Maybe you want to hang out, right? And clearly, I was like, it was that spider sense. You're like, like, oh, what the hell, right? I brought the entertainment, and he's got the bottle of Jack Daniels, and I'm just like, oh shit, this guy's gonna get me drunk, and he's gonna steal my shit, right? Yeah. Like, but see, if I didn't know who he was, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm a friendly guy, come on in, no, hell no, get the hell out of here, bro. I was like, nah, I was just going to bed. Thanks though. I'm good. But stupidly, he knows who I am. He knows I work he knows I chased him and kicked him out of the store. I'm sure he probably shit himself when I opened the door. He knew who I was. But yeah, it's just like that, right? These people, like the people that are like that are moving into your space to take advantage of you. There's a way, if you're paying attention, man, if you got like an open mind, you feel it, you feel that energy kind of move in. It's not good. Another great, few great comments here. Let's read them. Jennifer says, as far as cursing goes, you have to be able to give it back as well or better than it was given to you. As far as defense against curses go, basically like you're in a fight and you're willing to take a punch or have to take one, you have to consider if you can give it back. I see. So sort of like a mental chess, right? But with intent and curses. I see. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know about curses in particular, but yeah. And then Jennifer continues, basically like if you're in a fight, she already read that. Let's see. There we go. Okay. Other good stuff. Let's see. James says, yeah, I've heard of that. Certain people who can reflect curses, bad energy back at people twice, 3 times as strong or more. Interesting. You ever heard of that, Rohan? Being able to reflect?
Yeah, I do it.
Do you?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's like well, I don't go around doing it. It's just it's like absorbing. It's almost like that. I don't know if you've seen that X-Men film where it shows you that guy, Days of Future Past, where it shows you them in their younger years, and there's a guy that can suck in energy, and they could try and shoot him with a missile, and it just sucks in all the explosion into his hands and absorbs it. And it's a bit like that. That's how it works for me, because I'm an honest person. And I'm a Sagittarian and whatever. And
is that good or is that bad?
I tend to I save it. I say especially it's like the nuclear option. Do you know what I mean? I just save it for now and again.
I see the nuclear option. Ah, yes. But so you can absorb the energy and maybe kick it back.
Yeah, I can kick it back pretty well, to be honest. And like so it's a lot about the intention and the forcefulness and stuff, and that's why I mention honesty as well, because I think the same with a lot of stuff. If you're true with it, if you're standing on your truth and you're true, and if the words that are coming out are true, and the words that are coming out with vigor, and they're coming from a place of thoughtfulness where they've been thought about, coming from a reasonable person that's really sat and analysed it and has been objective. If you unload that cannonball in one shot like that, and it's true as well, then it bowls people over.
Yeah, interesting. Maybe you can teach me that someday. I'd like to learn that one.
Well, all it is, the secret ingredient, the secret sauce for it, it's dead easy. As long as you're true and and whatever it is you're saying, you know about it, you really feel it. As long as you've got that, all you have to do is be very assertive with it. That's all. It's that assertiveness, the same as in martial arts. That's not the same martial arts that a fight is 90% attitude. But I don't mean being an idiot and being an asshat and shouting. It means being forceful in your intention. Yeah, like people who are going to get. I'm not having a job that's anything less than $15 an hour. So you'll only apply for those jobs, and so you'll get those jobs. And people will say, "Oh, that person was really determined." And it's making a clear choice and sticking to it. That's what it is, I think.
Yeah, I got you. What's up, Penny? I see you there on YouTube. Thanks for showing up. Sorry I missed you tonight, Mike. I've been having a break from YouTube. You're allowed. I mean, social media gets to us all. Sometimes I leave the show and I'm just exhausted. I'm drained. I get it. I understand. And it's, it's not like I'm doing anything in particular. It's just all the brain work that goes into it, right? Trying to be able to speak fluidly, trying to keep a narrative, trying to read all the chat, there's a lot that goes on here. I feel you. It's okay. We got Tam Bam on the line. Let's go to Tam. Tam Bam, you're on Trouble Lines with Mike and Rohan. How are you? Test 1 2. Tam, can you hear us? Good morning.
How are you?
Oh, I'm fantastic. How you doing?
Good, thanks.
Right.
Okay, so I didn't hear the last 2 minutes of what you were saying.
That's okay.
Because I had to call, you go into Discord and it's like, university maths to figure out how to phone and
and there's like the 2 minute delay and everything. Well, you made it. You made it. You're here. Welcome to the club. You're in the cool club now. All right. So, what do you think about this evil eye stuff and the power of vision and is the soul or the eyes the window to the soul? All this. What do you think about the conversation tonight?
Well, I'm going to talk about everything we've been speaking about. Well,
Sure.
You've been speaking about.
Sure.
So you were talking about just now about how truth and how you can. I lost my damn point. About being honest, and if you can tell a liar.
Yes, you sense it. You sense it when they move into your space, right?
Yes. So what happened from varsity, I mean, I always had this, we are born, us people, our like-minded people, we're born with this kind of extra intuitive sense, right? So in varsity, I tried to be what I am from university, being 100% honest, because I always expect people to be 100% honest with me, even if it's awful. I still want you to be honest with me. And what I found over the years is that people just don't believe you. You can be 110% honest about anything in your life or your work, and people struggle to believe you because they're not used to people being honest.
So
openly honest.
Interesting. So here's the thing. So we're so used to living in the backwards, upside down of everybody being dishonest that when you're honest, you show up on people's bullshit detectors because you're honest.
Exactly, but it's similar to this. So we talk about aliens, all the time, right?
Right.
But then someone comes with credible evidence, and it's only that person. We still struggle to believe him. Do you understand?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure.
Similar to that. So it really is the eye of the beholder. It's your perception of truth. It's your perception of anything. It's your own bandwidth of understanding. You can't really speak for. There was a caller earlier. I forget her name. She's so brilliant, but she was talking about. Oh shit! Now I lost my points again. Oh, it's too early.
That's Jennifer, and she was talking about how our perception and our shared perception is a thing, right? That's what she was saying about the light coming through. Yeah. There you go.
It's the same, but it's not. I can see a tree different.
Oops. Tam Bam, you disconnected. And there we go.
Damn it.
She's back.
Yay.
She said, I can see a tree. I'm going to remind her, prompt her. All right, you got kicked off, Tam. Can you hear us? Are you back?
Yes, I'm back.
Okay, so you said, I can see a tree, and then you got cut off.
So obviously I can see a tree different from you can see a tree. So a few days ago, there was this company, there was a complaint on Facebook, and this company responded saying, it was a gaming company, responded saying, well, you're wrong because your perception of our game is not right. And I thought that was quite a bizarre but very truthful answer. The guy was complaining about how the game wasn't this and wasn't that, and the company responded, like I said, with, well, your perception of our game is wrong. And I thought that was a very interesting answer.
Your perception of our game is wrong. Meaning what, though? Like that...
Meaning that your point is irrelevant.
Oh.
Because we believe our game is the best, but your perception of our game is irrelevant.
I see. So
because they're not responsible for someone's perception, are they? They can't be.
Exactly. And I thought that was such an interesting response. And I thought, well, this is probably going to be the future of people giving answers. There's no more the customer is always right or the customer, wins. It's going to be, well, your experience of my product is wrong.
I think the same can be said for if you say a sentence and somebody said, "I'm offended by that," and then there's kind of anchoring for an apology. What offence is taken, not given, as Jay from Binghamton says a lot, and it's like, that's true. It's your perception that the thing that was said was offensive based on your ideologies and your beliefs. So right. I don't owe you anything. Just because you feel the sensation of the emotion of offence, it doesn't mean someone else is responsible for it. It's happening in your body. That's a clue. It's yours to deal with.
Exactly. So there's, this I think is going to be the future for all answers. But I don't care what you say.
I love you, Tam Bam. I love that you said that about the thing about honesty, because I've found that all through my life. It's been notable for me. That's one of the little nuances in life that's really stood out for me. That I really am honest. I really do not lie. Do you know what I'm saying? And it just like I say, I think it just bamboozles people, or random acts of kindness. So like a Buddhism thing they encourage to do, but sometimes it just freaks people out. You know what I'm saying? They think, what is the problem? Like, what is it? Try asking that old lady if you want me to carry the bags for her. Sometimes they might want to say, yeah, but a lot of the time they're going to be looking at you. Suddenly got the fear. Like, oh,
Exactly.
no, what is it? You think, come on, man. What's up?
Like, what's wrong with you? Why do you just want to help me for no reason? And it's just genuine. It's genuine kindness and it's genuine honesty. And over the years, I find that I've just become a quieter person where I used to be a life of the party, and now I've just become so quiet and so detached from the goings on of reality, because people just genuinely don't believe you, and I can't win. I can't tell you that you look. I don't want you to look crappy wearing that outfit or something really stupid, and they just take it to offense. And you, okay, I know it's nasty, but I mean, they just take it to offense, and it really comes out of a place of genuineness.
And I think there's some we've been conditioned a lot, haven't we, over the years? And I think some of this comes into that thing about people taking self-responsibility, like with the offence thing. And we've been getting turned into snowflakes, so to speak, haven't we? Do you know what I mean? And I think I think the future is aiming towards that maturity as a general human race, and reaching for that. And I think that's why some people are sort of more chilled out when stuff happens in most scenarios, because they dealt with it. It's the emotional stuff. That's the key. The emotional stuff's key. I don't think people really put it on the pedestal it sort of perhaps deserves to be on. The emotional stuff is key. It counts for more. EQ counts for more than IQ, in my opinion. But the emotional stuff is key. It's the hardest thing to do, to dig in. You've got to imagine a window, 4 quarters. There's things about you that everybody knows that you know, like your name. And there's things about you that you know that other people don't know, like what you have for breakfast. But then there's the scary one. There's things people know about you that you don't know. You know what I'm saying? So you need those answers. That's key data. And then there's things that nobody knows about you and you don't know either. And that's where the secrets are. And that's where the work is. And you can do it by whatever. There's loads of ways to dig into yourself. Loads of ways. Like talking therapy is a great way. Yeah. Meditating is a great way. But that's where the answers are, and that's probably why the Star Wars stuff, which is probably, that's coming from the work of Professor Joseph Campbell, comparative mythologist. That's our ancient history. And what does Yoda do? The Jedi are always looking inside, because that's where all the secrets and all the power is, because everything's made from the inside out. We're in an expanding part of the universe. It's emanating from another dimension. Do you know what I'm saying? That's contracting. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's this constant emanation from the center. So, you've got to go with that. You flow with nature. Things just work. And I think that's why sometimes having faith in stuff, not blind faith and stupidity, but reasoned out doing stuff. And sometimes you've got to have a bit of faith with stuff, haven't you? And things just work because you're frequenced up for that nice outcome where you're going to be safe. Belief. It does work. It does. The only Buddhist mantra I know, I swear it saved my life in a difficult period of my life. I kept saying it when I thought I was screwed, and things worked out. So is that just a change in perception? It probably is.
Yeah, real quick.
It really is.
Real quick, let me just say, and then you can take it away. Take it away, Tam. So just based back to that, right? The point about your emotions kind of getting in the way. It's like the human experience is always us fighting with that emotional outburst, right? It's like we're always trying to tame ourselves. And so I think part of the political division, rhetoric, and all the rest of this, like the stuff we're always talking about, is intentionally to stop those things, stop us from mastering ourselves, and instead allowing that base emotion to overcome us, because then they control us. You see what I'm saying here? I think that's what this is all about. This whole awakening is that, no, like, we are the masters of ourselves, and nobody can tell you otherwise. Damn it. That's it. I've mastered myself.
You got it, Mike.
Right? So like, I know where my emotional triggers are, and I know when I become unruly, when I become loudmouth, when I become agitated. I know these things about myself. But, right, the government or the media or whoever it is, they don't necessarily know that about me. They assume those triggers are the same as everybody else's, and they're not, because I've worked very hard to overcome those things. So what I'm saying is basically we're fighting that battle within ourselves, and the powers that be are trying to rile it up within us so that we can't have a base. And this is a great comment from Sherry. This is exactly kind of what triggered this thought. She said, if you're dishonest, you have no base structure. And that's it. If you have no base structure, it's because you haven't mastered yourself. If you haven't mastered yourself, or you're still struggling with that, then, well, we have the media step in and confuse you even further. So just wanted to add that. Go right ahead, Tim.
That's a very good point. Sherry always comes with these one-liners that floor you. She's just brilliant. I find as well that dishonest people can't relate to honesty because they're dishonest. I don't know how else to explain it. If you come to me and you say, Tam, you look shit today, I'm going to believe you because I know you're an honest person. But if you're a dishonest person, I don't know how to explain it. It's really, it comes back to frequency and vibration. And if you're vibrating on the same level as I am, and you portray honesty in your life, and you just don't react to lower vibrations and negative EQ of the world around you, I'm going to take your word for it. But the thing is, we're all so distracted by entertainment, air quotes, that we can't decipher who we are really, because how I am really as a person, I don't even know who I am as a real person, because I'm always trying to achieve or be better to keep up with reality around me. And it's so distracting that I don't even have time to research how to decalcify my pineal gland so I can upgrade on a spiritual level and get to a 4-dimensional to get into the depths of who I am as an individual, as a spiritual being as well. It's all about distraction, and how do you find emotional, high EQ people around you? And, this is why I'm part of your group, is because I resonate with you guys on such a deep level than I do with people around me who I see daily. And that's, for me, the loneliest thing in the world. I mean, I can't touch you guys or see you, or I find it extremely lonely, and I've become very quiet and lonely. I don't know how else to explain it.
It's I think it's just because it's part. I don't think it's even part of like I said, like part of that human experience is becoming that mastery of yourself. But I think it's because so many people are so confused. Like you see, like the rhetoric is so hot and heavy all the time, and people are always fighting about things that don't matter, and it's disgusting, right? Like their mind is somewhere else. They're told what their priorities are, and their priorities that they're told are not, like, they're so far off the path of where they should be that this is why everybody's so confused. And again, I think it is. It's all calculated. It's all like that loneliness, like you say, alone in a crowd. That feeling is because humans struggle anyway. It's hard to be human, but then on top of it, it's hard to be a good human, let's say. But then on top of that, you have these people that would rather fight with you about unbelievably stupid things. I mean, crying out loud, right? Just go on Facebook and say hi, and they're like, we don't say that in our country. You offended me. You're like, what? Like, how did we get here?
Yeah,
I was just trying to be
like
nice.
Karens.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's brutal. It's brutal. I get you. There's a shrinking crowd of people who get it, and all I mean is, like, I have no secret to enlightenment or anything like that, right? But like I do know who I am, and I do know who I want to be to get better, right? And that's it. Like that's the path. And if you don't have those things in order, you're susceptible. You're susceptible to all the rest of this BS. And that's, as you know, Tim, you've been listening a long time. You've been part of this community a long time. That's why we do this show. It's the kind of, to let everybody know it's okay to be you. Like let those things go. Those other things, all the people out there that are criticizing you, that are flinging poo, like I always say, that are just trying to cause drama, let it go.
It's all the time. That's the problem. Is that I've been put on this measuring stick for my entire life. My mother has always told me that beautiful people run the world, and she's been telling us since I was a little kid. So I still, even though I know it's such horseshit, I still balance myself out. That's how I've got to be this. I've got to always look 10 years younger. I've got to do this. I've got to stay up with, I've got to be thin. I've got to train. What's the newest thing? And even though I know it's such crap, I still do it. And I've got this measuring stick that makes me worthy. And then you get bombarded for it. Why do you always have to do that? Why do you always have to be this? And why, and you always get slammed down with such negativity around you, and all you're trying to do is just be yourself. And then you got stuff that you've been ingrained with as a child, and I'm just such a confused human.
Like I said, all by design. It's all by design. Right?
I really am just sitting waiting for an alien spaceship to come and beat me up and take me to a planet where the shit doesn't exist. Exactly.
Yeah, and it's again, right? Like they know that there've been studies on this and all the rest of this. They know what we're going through, right? It's not easy. It's not easy dealing with it. Like I said, the expectations of a woman to be beautiful, to be all these things, right? Like you guys have it way worse than us, right? In that regard, it's like, oh, how dare you go outside and not have your makeup on? Oh yeah, screw off. I can do whatever I want, but still, you'll never live it down type stuff, It's like, come on, like, are we really still there? But we kind of are, aren't we? All the social.
We'll always be here.
Yeah, it's always
because it's distraction.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was my sad story.
All right. Well, you're in the right place. So sad stories are okay because guess what? The future's bright because tomorrow doesn't have to be a sad story. And I truly believe that. So thank you for sharing with us tonight. And what about this evil eye stuff? You got any takes on this before we round this down and let you go?
Evil eye. So those Greeks have that evil eye stone. It's like this blue stone, and it's got a little eye in the middle.
Yes,
that's what I was talking about earlier. Yeah, they have them in the houses in Turkey. Yeah.
So a friend of mine who's Greek, she gave me the stone. She says, always keep it in your handbag. Your handbag will never get stolen. And I live in South Africa. They'll kill you for $10, for $1 actually, for a cell phone. And I've always had this thing in my handbag. I don't believe in it, but I've never had anything bad happen to my handbag with my wallet and my ID and nothing, ever. So there's something to it. I think the intent attached to it is there's something there. I don't know. Evil eye, the eye of whatever. It all makes sense. It has to make sense. There's got to be something to it. Or else, why would they be putting fluoride in our water? What is the intention of putting fluoride in our water? But to calcify the pineal gland.
That's the biggest reason, I think, because that's the biggest effect. And the pineal gland, let's not forget, the pineal gland, for its proportional size, gets more blood than anything else in the body. So that alone should tell you it's very important for some reason.
I mean, this is why these kids, the children, are more susceptible to any kind of spiritual awareness than adults are, because their brain is not as their pineal gland is not as calcified as ours are as adults, and they can see on the bandwidth of our perception. They can see further than we can, and it's a very interesting thing to delve into. I mean, if you can manage to decalcify it, I mean, I wouldn't be here. I think I'd be in a 4D reality living with some kind of alien.
The DMT machine. the DMT machine elves. When people take DMT, it's like that hallucinogenic. They end up in some other realm with what they describe as machine elves. That's where you would be. You'd be in that realm.
Listen, I'm very scared of that stuff because, everybody has a little bit of evil in them. I don't care what anyone says. Everybody has that little bit of evil. And I'll tell you why. It's because if your family is on the line, you will kill to protect your family. And that's where the basis of it comes from. So if you take DMT and you kind of are not having a good day, I really do think you're going to interact with something you really don't want to and bring something back. I don't mess with that shit.
Yeah, no, same here. I don't either. You see me sipping some beer or some whiskey once in a while, but yeah, I don't partake of the weirdness because who knows, right? Who knows what it'll turn you into? For sure. All right, so let's wind this up. Thank you, Tam, for jumping on. I know she's got the weird schedule from us. She's opposite, so she's usually waking up when we're finishing here, and regularly wakes up early to spend her time with us. And so thank you for that. I appreciate that a lot. And thanks for sharing your amazing stories, amazing takes, and we appreciate you. I
sound like a dumbass today. It's too early.
Nah, totally not. Look at the chat. The chat loves you. They're like amazing points. Yeah, no, not at all. Yeah, not at all.
Early for me as well. 6:30 here, Nana.
There you go. There it is. See?
Boop.
Staying up late. Staying up
all
early.
your noses.
Thank you. Back at you too. Back at you too. All right, so let's do it. You guys want to do the outro? Jay's traveling, so we don't have the outro. You guys want to help me do the outro here? I'll play some music, and you guys can say some things. I'll put you on the spot, or not. You don't have to. You tell me.
I've got one.
Okay, here's the music. Go for it.
There is a saying that I heard ages ago, and it's from a poet, but I can't remember his name. And I've posted on this group before, and it goes that we are all individual snowflakes, each with its own design, but look what we can do when we come together. And that is creating a snowstorm and overtaking with an avalanche of information. And I think this is how we should sum up our group.
Hey man, I love it. I love it. Snowflake used to be a bad thing. Tam just flipped it on its head and made it a good thing. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I'll be part of that snowflake crowd. Rohan, anything else? Beautiful, Tam. Thank you.
I don't know. I've got a book in front of me. I'll do a quick quote out of this McKenna book. We can now move towards a new vision of ourselves and our role in nature. We are omni-adaptable species. We are thinkers, makers, solvers of problems. These great gifts are not ours alone, which is in the evolutionary matrix of the planet, not just for our convenience or satisfaction or greater good, but it's to make us better, to become caregivers, gardeners of Mother Nature and this living earth.
Oh.
Amen. And I'll finish with this one. When the heart is full, the eyes overflow. Thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for listening. You guys are all the best. It's Thursday night, which means we are finished for the week. We will be tomorrow, Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific doing Troubled Minds News. So thank you guys so much for spending time with us. Thanks, Tam. Thanks, Rohan. Thanks, all the great calls tonight. Thanks, all the great chat. Thank you all for being part of this community, because that's what this is. This is not, like I always say, I mean it. This is not my show. This is our show. Let's get together. Let's talk about good things. Let's get us pointing in the right direction and respect ourselves and respect the world around us. And up. Let's win together. And thank you guys so much. I'm honored by you spending your time here. And I'm, like I said, humbled by it. I appreciate it so much. You guys are the best. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're here with Rohan. We're here with Tam Bam from South Africa. I appreciate it. You guys are the best. Have a fantastic night. As we end it, be sure, be strong, be true. And thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours. Have a great night.
Bye.
Adios. Thanks a lot, guys. All right, let's get out of here. If you guys want to hang out, usually we chill it in the caller queue, in the Shoot the Breeze. If you guys have joined the Discord, so if you want to come shoot the shit with us, we're going to be doing that. So Join the Discord, troublelines.org. Come say hi. Rohan usually hangs out for a little bit. I'm not going to speak for him. James usually shows up. Matt. We got lots of folks from the chat. Jay is usually there from New York, so he's traveling, but maybe not. So come say hi in the Discord, and thanks again for being part of this. Have a fantastic one, guys. Talk to you soon.